Oh, this is a great way to start it. Whoops. Hi, everyone.
Remember to like, guys.
Yes. Welcome back to the Open Chess Anime Podcast with your host, the Anime Collector, and as always, my co-host, Don Jobo Agi.
But I like women. And where's your green card, FDDNM?
I don't have one. I'm an immigrant. Immigrant DDNM here. Back to my co-host, main host, Don Jobo Brad.
Okay. All right.
Whoa.
That was a little weird. Okay. So before we get into things, we got a lot to talk about tonight. We've got the VIC stuff first and foremost, but I don't think that's actually going to take that long to get through. But real quick, FDM, you weren't here last podcast, and we were trying to decide what we're going to watch for the next podcast. And Augie, did you vote in the poll last podcast?
Yeah.
Okay, my vote didn't get counted. So I actually was able to break the tie when I realized that, because for some reason I was the first person to vote, but it didn't register it, because when I went back to check the score, it didn't have me as voted yet. So I'm going to have FDDM break the tie instead of me. We decided, and now I might have to push things a certain way because of some new information I just found out, but we were either going to do both Vampire Hunter D movies next podcast, or we were going to do Corpse Party.
Corpse Party.
Yeah, or we were going to do both. And nobody voted on both, but it perfectly synced up with the number of votes that they were tied. So it would have been both. Now, I was also going to...
I think that would just be a disaster, because it would be 3 watch clubs in one.
See, this is the thing, though. I don't want to do... Because Corpse Party is only 4 episodes, right? But
yeah.
I don't want to do, when possible, even if we can do it, I'd rather not combine them, because it makes it easier when it comes to organizing, what do we call the podcast and yada, 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 right? So here's the thing, though. When I was getting the information for the Amazon affiliate links, I noticed that Sentai Filmworks or Section 23's live action line, Switchblade, has released the live action Corpse Party. So I thought maybe originally I was just going to say, yeah, let's do Corpse Party and push Vampire Hunter D until November 2nd's podcast, because that way we can avoid, we can still do it, and it'll actually be closer to Halloween, but we don't have to double up on them. But the thing is that because the live action series exists and is available in the United States, maybe we should do that one then instead, so that people have time to actually get it.
Is it still in print / easily to get readily available?
And pretty cheap too.
Relatively new.
Yeah.
You know how I think of live action. It's not anime.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, yeah, and also you shouldn't have to budget that in when it's just an afterthought rather than the main drag. And also, speaking of main drag, the Prison School podcast was the Watch Club section was 50 times longer, because every point we were comparing to the live action. So,
well, with
I don't know.
Corpse Party, I think it's based on several games. There's a PS Vita game and a DS
it's
game. Or
the visual novel RPG maker type style.
So, anyway,
and so you're probably just gonna rag on the live action anyway if it's anything like Prison School.
Well,
so
I'm gonna watch it either way. So I want to know from the audience, especially, how do you guys feel about going into Corpse Party next podcast? I'm doing such a great job keeping on the person who's talking. I want to know what you guys think, because I'm cool with doing it next podcast. I'd actually like to do it next podcast, because I feel like it's I don't know. I feel more excited about Corpse Party than Vampire Hunter D.
I own Corpse Party, and I don't own Vampire Hunter D, so that's pretty much my reason. Also, I'd probably be more interested anyway.
All right. So let's do Corpse Party.
For,
Unless you guys have something else you want to say. Boy, I'm doing such a great job keeping that on there. All right. So anyway, but let's jump into things. So let's talk about the VIC stuff. All right.
Give us a like.
Greenline 743 said, "Sure." I forget what the question is. Is it to have both or to
probably? Well, okay. So we're only going to do one. It's either going to be Vampire Hunter D or Corpse Party, but yeah, I know the description is already on Vampire Hunter D. I'll update it. Well, because you're killing me, guys. I'll switch it up when they're doing pickups. But let's get into the VIC stuff.
Also, keep in mind, you have 2 English dubs for Vampire Hunter D for the first movie.
Okay. We do not have to all be on the same page of which dub we watch. Sometimes we watch things in Japanese. I watched all of Higurashi in Japanese instead of. Actually, no, I did do the dub the second time around because I had only watched it in Japanese the previous time. But anyway, it doesn't matter that there's multiple in the description. If you wanted to get the one that has multiple, I think the Sentai Filmworks one and the Discotheque one have all of the tracks. But I'm not sure.
Well, that one is
right. And
U.S. commissioned. See.
Okay. Right. So anyway, back to this. Let's jump. Yeah. Go ahead. Let's jump into this. So here's what we got. VIC MIGNOGNA lawsuits tossed out. Let me double quadruple check that's good. It should be. So anyway, there's really not a lot to say. This is an expected outcome. This is actually more favorable, I think, than it going forward. And a lot of people with massively large craniums have not quite comprehended why this is actually a better outcome in the long run. And I want to just sort of try to break it down. There were 17 causes of action that he was suing for. If you break them up between all the different parties and whatnot. And 12 of them were already thrown out. If Judge Chupp had moved forward on the ones that were left, then that would open up discovery just for the causes of actions that were left. However, with all of them thrown out, that allows appeals on all of them versus some of them, or moving forward, trying to get discovery, which is much more likely what would have happened. If Chupp had come back and let them continue, they wouldn't have appealed until after they had gone through what the first round would have been. So by throwing all of it out, the appeals get everybody back into the fray of things. So regarding this stuff, I've seen a lot of ridiculously bad takes, and a lot of people are fair weather justice upholders. I saw somebody like, guys, I don't know. I just feel like I'm dying to re-up my Funimation subscription stuff, which, hey, do what you're going to do. All right. But I'm a little bit surprised at the fact that this was the expected outcome for so long, and people are treating it like they're ready to jump ship. So T. Greg here said, women claimed. Okay, let's read this. So he says, VIC MIGNOGNA should definitely sue Ty Beard for legal malpractice. The question is whether Vic has any actual friends who care enough about him to tell him that. The best part about Ty Beard effing this case up so thoroughly is that for all practical purposes, VIC MIGNOGNA is now a sexual predator as a matter of law.
What?
No.
He was not convicted of anything.
The case was dismissed. That doesn't automatically mean that the judge said that everything they said was true. It means that according to the judge who upheld TCPA, it means that regardless of whether or not it was lies, they were allowed to say it under First Amendment, right? That Vic was libel proof or whatever. Not even close to accurate, that statement there, right? So anyway, if you guys want to read it, Anime News Network's article links to the actual the case here. It's extremely straightforward. I don't think we need to sit down and read it, but like I've already read. I'm not going to read it on the podcast because I think it's just an expanded version of what I've said. So, God damn it. So anyway, I think that this is actually in the long run. This is an opportunity for a reset that I think is much needed. And again, just because people do not seem to understand what actually happened, especially T. Greg there, the entire reason the ruling went the way it did is because Judge Chupp treated the TCPA hearing as an evidentiary hearing rather than a prima facie, rather than having, he didn't obey the case law, basically. There's all sorts of previous cases that have established how TCPA hearings are supposed to go, that you are automatically, once you file for TCPA, it's automatically like in motion, right? And what needs to happen is that the person you are being sued by, all they have to do is present a prima facie case, right? And again, prima facie is on its face. It's Latin for on its face. It means upon the first impression until other evidence comes out, which can change perception, right? So the prima facie case is I want his head, I want his balls, right? Malice, right? That shows that this is more than just somebody commenting on a public figure, right? So anyway, he treated the hearing as though it was a preponderance of the evidence or an evidentiary hearing, meaning that he was asking both sides for evidence to outweigh the other, right? And because every aspect of the defendant's version of the case, or what they have to do in this lawsuit, is based on the evidentiary stuff, they were ready to go. They had all their paperwork and stuff provided because that's literally all they have is preponderance of the evidence, versus Ty and Vic, who need to present prima facie and then get discovery in order to actually have the interrogatories for all the things that they requested, the emails, communications, anything like that brought to them so that they can pour through it and determine and show the court that, okay, like here, for example, with the civil conspiracy cause of action, that here is a coordinated effort between, let's say, Monica Rial and Jamie Markey to make their stories line up so that they sounded more believable or something like that, right? If they're able to get the communications, if there are any, that show that kind of stuff, that's where they would go after they present the prima facie case that says, look, there's more to this than just a guy who's trying to shut people up and use a lawsuit to stop them from talking, right? That there's more to it. So because Chupp didn't follow the Texas Rules of Civil Procedure regarding TCPA, they have they had a pretty much slam dunk case when it came to tortious interference at the bare minimum, and because of that, that's why Chupp throwing this out actually seems like it's being thrown to the appellate court, where 3 judges will rule on Chupp's ruling, and it very much seems like they'll be back in there, which is probably why, again, Chupp said in the hearing where he requested mediation that there's no guarantee you won't be back here in 3 months on appeal, right? So anyway, long story short, this is really not a bad thing. This was the expected outcome, and it actually seems more likely that, like, I think this is an opportunity for things to go better than they were on the trajectory because of a bad ruling by Judge Chupp that will probably be overturned in the appellate courts. What are you saying, Augie?
So essentially, they're just refreshing the judge in this case.
Well, so here's the theory. If I had been the judge, what I would have done once, because it seemed like there was a shift in how the judge was treating the case because of the backlash that came where everybody was threatening him or whatever. Which again, do not harass any of the people in this thing, especially not the judge. You are not helping anybody by doing that. But it seemed as though, and again, this is the thing, if nobody had harassed the judge and his mind didn't get changed, we still would have had appeals. All right. It doesn't matter. What I'm saying is that I feel like because of the obvious outcry over his decision, that Judge Chupp may have realized the mistake that he made. So if it had been me in his shoes, I would have reversed my previous ruling and brought Markey and all them back in. That's called sua sponte, I think, the by the court's own authority, where they
don't go committing sua sponte on me.
I forget what the actual term is, but that's what I would have done. Ty Beard had an interesting thought that the reason it went the opposite way to throw everything out is that it creates a chance that you might, like during the appeals, the three judges might still rule your way, and then you avoid the embarrassment rather than admitting to being wrong and doing the other thing. Because here's the thing, if you go back on your ruling and bring Markey back in, she's going to go to appeals anyway. Right, she's going to appeal that decision. So this seems like the easiest way to sort of start the whole thing over with a fresh slate. And it'll also be interesting to see what if Rekieta was right in his theory, which who knows about this regarding the mediation. That seems like oftentimes when things go to mediation, that people, the mediator whispers in the ear of the judge in a lot of cases, as Rekieta sort of put it. And it'll be interesting to see how the second round goes. So anyway, continuing here,
for right now,
go ahead.
So for right now, from what I understand, the case is dismissed and Vic is having to pay the legal fees, even though some of those legal fees shouldn't be applied, like them skipping out on the court date. But
there won't. Okay, here's how legal fees work. The legal fees are a argued thing in the court. So even if the case was over right now, there's still going to be a bunch more hearings regarding presenting the receipts of all the hours and stuff and what they were for. And the only thing that Vic is going to be billed for, or would be billed for, is for stuff relating to the CCPA. So the depositions, all that stuff, he shouldn't have to pay for anyway, right? And of course, keep in mind, the GoFundMe is probably going to pay all that anyway, even if they did.
Right,
but the thing is that the money isn't going to go to the defendants to pay their bills until after all the appeals happen. Because you have to hold on to that money, because you can't have somebody get that money, then the appeals happen, and then you don't get the money back because the people already spent it or whatever. You know what I mean? So that's how that works. But let's see what we got here. So I want to address something here. I've talked numerous times actually about this, how Rekieta, who again, I've been on his show. I like the guy. And I think he is genuinely doing all the things that he does for the benefit of Vic. But I do see the Pied Piper type activity of leading the movement to a degree. And I am not on board with the direction the direction he tries to take things, specifically with trying to gaslight Toei in order to get them to cease ties with Funimation. And I think a lot of it
said that when you were on the show, man.
Well, I was on the show way before, when we weren't even discussing. First of all, he wasn't doing it back then. I was on a 25-hour live stream, for anyone who's wondering. But he wasn't doing it back then. That live stream wasn't about the Vic case. I don't think it even got brought up, at least not when I was on it. But the thing is that I've not been on board with with that to begin with. You know, like the funny leaks, I think, are an obvious joke. They've been on the internet for years. I don't think there was a point in I don't agree with the gaslighting. Anyway, so here's the thing though. So one of the things that he's been doing, and he's been doing this specifically because he knows that the defendants are watching his show. He knows that people from Funimation are watching. He knows that Toye and Rial and all of them are watching his show. He is attempting to strategically convince them to he's trying to scare them into settling, right? So he goes over all these things about, I hear Toei's at Crunchyroll this weekend. Isn't that interesting? It's like, it's Crunchyroll Expo. Come on, right? And they are is a sponsor, right? But here's something that came up that I'm just pointing out. I really don't think Toei actually cares the way that he's putting out there, right? So Toei, the actual Toei Animation Twitter account here, which is probably like a U.S. branch version of it, because I don't think
they do have a U.S. branch.
Right. I don't think any of the tweets are actually in Japanese. It makes much more sense for this to be U.S. branch, but I'm just saying they said happy birthday. Look, whatever, but they're specifically going out of their way to wish Monica Rial a happy birthday. I think her birthday was on the 4th, which is when the hearing or the stuff was all dismissed. So anyway, they said, thank you for giving your strong and beautiful voice to our Bulma. And my favorite,
you have to have a strong, beautiful voice to be a strong, beautiful woman as a character.
So Brandon Salas says it is the U.S. branch. But I just think it's very funny because the top reply that, at least when I look at it, is thanks for the tweet. I've screenshot it and sent it to my attorney and law enforcement. Not be harassed. Have a nice night. It's the highest rated response that I've seen. Right.
That's so good.
So anyway, but once again, I don't think that. I think that that's the most damaging part of Rekida's strategy, is because, for example, everybody. They are hearing not what Rekieta says, but what they want to hear out of what Rekieta says. And that's why so many people have riled themselves up into believing that Vic was going to win hands down. And again, appeals are a thing on purpose, right? Because the courts get things wrong. And so when the judge dismissed everything, they're all panicking and ready to jump ship. And not see justice get served. But the thing is, Rekieta has been saying for for months now that this was an expected outcome, that the entire purpose of appeals. I brought up the motion for reconsideration. That would have been a good move. I thought back then, but actually I think strategically it's actually smarter for where we're at now that maybe that didn't happen, to see, to see where things went with this last hearing before submitting the motion for reconsideration. Because you got to understand that when it comes to sending somebody like Markey out of the case and basically saying, hey, you're dismissed, and having that person come back in, a judge does not want to make that call unless they're forced to, because again, there's going to be appeals. And I'll say one more time, I've said this at the very beginning of this lawsuit, I support every lawsuit and countersuit in this case, because it's the only way that people are going to be held accountable enough that there will be actual factual evidence presented in a courtroom to support their claims, instead of internet fake swatting bullshit like that. They will have to back up the claims they make in court. So I am fully on board with Vic's lawsuit, and I am fully on board with any countersuits and whatever appeals on either side that come up, because they're going to have to put up or shut up when it's in an actual court of law. Anyway, so let's get back into this. Now, a little irony here. Former Dragon Con owner Edward Kramer charged for possessing child porn again.
Again.
Yeah. So convicted Dragon Con co-founder charged again with having child porn. He is convicted as a child molester already.
A child molester on top of that?
Yes.
Is it in Georgia where he's getting charged?
What was in Atlanta? According to WSB TV Atlanta. So okay. I assume damn it, you got me off track. What was he talking about? So this guy supposedly, it's been what, like 9 months now, almost 10 months since the VIC stuff started, and early on when VIC was dropped from all the cons, Dragon Con was one of them. And I believe this guy, or one of the Dragon Con people, banned him. They vocally went out and virtue signaled and banned him from the convention. And here we are getting arrested and charged for possession of child porn. so
likely to cover up his own misgoods or whatever.
This
is really common. And I was thinking about this the other day about how feminists, especially, they get all up in arms over like mistreatment or whatever from men, but they choose the men that they choose to interact with and be with are the shitty men. Like, they're choosing shitty men to be around, and that warps their perspective of masculinity, right? So people who choose...
Well, does it warp their perspective, or is it a different type of attention? Then again, I really don't want to get into this topic too deep.
I'm just saying that that the perspective gets warped by people who don't choose quality partners, right? And what we've got going on in this case, we've got Toye, a convicted spousal abuser, right? We've got the Dragon Con guy. We've got LJ Montello saying all this stuff about Vic, and then having a video of them making out with an underage girl on a stage at a convention. All that kind of stuff. It's like people do this. Like they put out the Shane Holmberg talking about, we did things that weren't okay then and weren't okay now, right? These types of people that are guilty of things like this are the most vocal about throwing somebody else under the bus because it distracts from their own shortcomings and whatever. So anyway, do you guys have anything else you want to say about the VIC stuff? Does anybody in the chat have any questions?
That is hilarious. Wow, in all caps.
So here's one from.
So I'm wondering what the.
Go ahead.
The only thing I'm wondering, and I'm not too close to following the up and up on this, is when is the next hearing for either the appeals court or the next wave? I'm a little lost on what's next.
Okay, so let me put it this way. Think about how long it's taken for things to get rolling. When I believe the lawsuit was filed in February, right?
Right.
Think about how long that's taken. It took that long for everybody to get all the stuff ready in order to do the TCPA hearing, right? The appellate hearing, they're going to need to build up a whole nother case and get all their evidence and stuff ready to just show Chup ruled incorrectly here. Here's the case law. This is the actual wording in Texas Civil Procedure and all that. And that's why, again, the Second Amendment petition was thrown out or whatever, is because
Second Amendment petition.
The Second Amended petition was thrown out from the TCPA hearing. That's where everything went downhill with Ty, is because Chup accused him of trying to sneak it in or whatever. But the actual phrasing in the law or the procedure documents is that you have a certain amount of days that things have to be done by for a trial, which the hearing was not a trial. There wasn't any jury. It was a motion hearing, not a trial. So they have to get all that stuff ready, go through all the case law, present that to the appellate court with the 3 judges and everything. So bare minimum, we're looking at probably 2 months of more or less silence in the case, unless, I think on Monday, Mad Black Atheist channel is claiming that he's going to be doing an interview with Ron Toye. So So unless things get stupider, which I have thrown out any expectations that things won't get stupider based on trajectory of how things have gone so far, and the ridiculous T. Greg Duchette statements that we just went over, and everybody doing their little victory lap over the game was called on account of rain, basically, is what we've had, right? So I expect there will still be more to talk about, but in terms of the actual appellate hearings and stuff, probably 2 to 3 months before that actually, probably 2 months before that happens, and then maybe up to 3 months before they're back in, like all the defendants are back in having to defend all their stuff and all that. So anyway, all right. So yeah, it's going to be a couple months basically. So let me get back to this comment here. So Imperial Officer 07 says, interesting. I support factual evidence. If Vic is guilty, then what evidence is there? If not, where is the evidence for it? That's exactly my point. I think that we should all acknowledge that we don't know what happens behind closed doors. There's every chance, and I'm willing to give it to the defendants. There's every chance that Vic is everything that they say he is, but they've got to at least present the evidence. And statistically speaking, when Ron Toya claims there are hundreds of women willing to come forward and all this stuff, and that implies that there are thousands out there, and not a single one of them ever filed a police report ever, right? It statistically speaking makes it an impossibility in my mind. So unless you've got evidence, because all we've seen so far are VAs and other people
and my tweets.
All we've seen so far are VAs and everybody virtue signaling about, well, I remember when I was at a con with him and Mari Ejima, or Mary Lijima, as Hirohei calls her. Boy, next time I'm on a podcast, I'm going to...
You've got to call him out for that, and I am to Claire.
So bad. But Mari is saying things like, oh yeah, when I was on a panel with Mari Ejima, she was visibly scared of him and asked me to keep her safe. So I said, you sit next to me, buddy. And he's like, haha, and tried to sit next to her. And he's like, no. And then all the photos come out from the panel, and he's sitting right next to her. And it's like everything like that. Kara Edwards saying about the dance. And then what's this? Video of the dance comes out, and she initiates it. And then she claims that happened before the incident she's referring to. It's like, well, you know what? You kind of set the stage that if that is true, which I think is total bullshit based on the rest of her testimony or whatever, her affidavit. But if that were true, you've already set forth the playful, flirtatious, seductive dancing at the panel. So if Vic engages in that again, it's because you already set the stage for it. You know what I mean? And also, none of those things are abuse. None of those things are harassment. And none of those things are things you should be fired over.
Anyway, I think that's tangential enough for that.
Imperial Officer 07 says, just curious, is Rial the one that started this case against Vic, or was it someone else? I got
Mars
lost.
Girl?
Technically, so the thing is that...
Mars Girl, Caitlin...
Saucedo. The thing is that the rumors or whatever about Vic have existed for years because he's popular, he's Christian, and most of the time, seriously, if you go back and look at all this stuff, and again, back in the podcast where we first started this, I went over the Tumblr and everything, and they're all butthurt about him not condoning their ships and their yaoi, right? And it escalates as that starts. It's like he claims that this character from Tsubasa isn't gay, and that's wrong. And he says that the people at Clamp said this, but there's no reason for him to ask them for that. And it's like, well, actually, it was Colleen Klinkenbeard, as he says in the video, who asked them if about the characters or whatever. So anyway, but like I said, those things have existed for a long time, but the purpose of the lawsuit is not to say that they didn't exist before the defendants got into the controversy, right? The purpose of the lawsuit is that those things existing and the baseless rumors existing on the internet didn't become a problem for the canceling of his contracts and whatnot until Monica Rial, Funimation, Jamie Markey, all those people jumped involved. Right. So that's the purpose of the lawsuit, is that it is specifically entirely because of the signal boosting that they gave to it, and especially Funimation phrasing that tweet so incredibly moronically to imply that Vic was found guilty after investigation, right? And that he has been let go. The implication being because he's a rapist or whatever, all the things that he's been accused of, right?
I'd love it if they worded it like that, because he's a rapist or whatever.
Man, I can't wait till we get to the discovery phase. And that's also the thing. That's people. I think we mentioned this a couple of podcasts ago when that first hearing happened.
To be a rape, they would have to
be a victim, be a non-consenting adult or child.
Well, you would have to have a rape to happen. If anything, the worst that you can mildly even say would be sexual harassment, even though everything that we've seen through what we've covered was consensual.
Right. That's the thing that's been really annoying about
situation, etc.
Exactly. And I'll just say once again, if Vic tried to rape you in a hotel room, why wasn't that the story?
It would be police
in the investigation. Why wasn't that the story that you gave during Sony's investigation instead of the jelly bean story? I think it's a simple question, right? Anyway, so let me get back to this. So something, damn it, you got me off track.
I'm surprised there hasn't been a story of him looking at someone.
So Versus Seed said SG Sammy said Ron canceled on Mad, but he doesn't know. You know what? I'm not convinced that Ron actually reached out to Mad Black Atheist. I think that guy, for all the shade he threw at Perfection, is a lot like Perfection, and that seems like his. I think he stirred up all that stuff to get a boost in followers, right? To get people to check out his content. I don't think that he actually ever had I don't think Ron Toya actually reached out to him or anything. It just doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, so I think it was probably a scam from the beginning. I'm just saying that originally the claim was that it's going to be on Monday, and you could check out on Monday to see if it's there, but I don't think it will be. So anyway, Brandon Salas chimed in with, well, the interview was on last Monday. Okay, but Ron said for today, but NBA was waiting for Ron to wait back. Okay. All right. Well, good to know, I guess. I guess only time will tell if Mad Black Atheist can actually get him to come through. If, again, they're even communicating and it wasn't just another account he made and sock puppeted the DMs to himself or whatever, you know. Anyway, and then Versus he said they keep stacking lies on top of lies. The whole thing's ridiculous. Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, for the outsider watching, one-sided lies to you a lot, you know. Anyway. All right, so let's jump in this. So we got a little bit of KyoAni news here. So Kyoto Animation will not be applying any of the money it received from donors. This is a direct quote from the spokesperson they hired for it, the lawyer guy. Kyoto Animation will not be applying any of the money it received from donors around the world for business recovery, but will be using all of it, which is at $10.1 million US right now, for the bereaved, the injured, and their families. The company itself will not retain any of the financial support, including funds coming from government institutions, and will move forward under its own power. So if you want to support the company of KyoAni, in addition to the victims, buy something from them. Particularly like the digital stuff they sell on their website. Just buy something so that you can support them. Also, so much for the hospital saying that they've been that they are all out of hot water in regards to likelihood of surviving. This person here said Kyoto police said a female KyoAni staff member who was in the hospital from injuries suffered from the arson attack has passed away. and this was posted on October 4th. So apparently they weren't out of the hot water yet. That's terrible that that yet another person has passed away in this incident. I think it's up to like 36 victims now. So that's quite awful. And we got some information here brought to us by our friend Lishansky regarding the changes in eBay's policy regarding the internet sales tax law getting pushed through or whatever. So it says here, as you may be aware, 11 new states have adopted internet sales tax policies as of October 1st, bringing the total to 34 states that now require the collection of sales tax. As the impact of this tax law becomes more apparent, PayPal and eBay are making changes that will make internet sales tax collection less complex for buyers and for you. Starting in November 2019, the way taxable transactions are processed and how taxes are collected for remittance will change as follows. In states where eBay is required to collect internet sales tax from buyers, order totals sent for processing will reflect the gross order amount inclusive of tax. Once settled, the tax amount will be automatically deducted for remittance to the applicable taxing authority. A record of the sales tax portion of the order will be available on the Seller Hub order details page and through our download order support. Please note the applicable tax will continue to be paid by the buyer, and you do not need to take any action. So I guess they mean that the cost will go up by that, perhaps. Reese, $2 super chat from Reese says, dropping this in now in case I forget later. Hey, man, I really appreciate it, but you don't need to feel like you need to super chat every week, dude. I really do appreciate it, though. We understand that the holiday selling season is nearly upon us, and we are working to make this transition as smooth as possible and learn more, blah, blah, blah. All right. So anyway, so that's what's going on with eBay. If you are a buyer or a seller, that's going to be relevant to you. Buyer, it's going to depend on where you live. And seller is going to depend on where your buyers live.
Unless you live in Canada, where you're already getting shoved with tax.
Yeah. All right. So you guys want to do pickups?
Yes.
Yes. Who?
I got 5.
All right, you volunteer yourself. Go ahead. I'm gonna get I'll get the new stuff put in the doc or in the description for the affiliate links.
Okay. Do I have good enough connection?
Not
yeah,
really,
I mean,
but go for it.
Okay. First
it's
one.
low res, but it's not choppy.
Like the animation in CG I complain about. Gundam 0080. That's probably not how you say it.
That is how you say it.
Okay. Lishansky's favorite Gundam on Blu-ray for the first time in North America.
Weekend at Bernie's.
I'm glad I held off on getting the DVD. Why are you talking over me, Augie?
Seriously. What are you doing?
You're talking about Crocodile Dundee. Okay.
I mean, look at what the pocket knife in his pocket.
Okay, come on. Just let him continue.
Okay, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, I opted not to get the DVD because that was the only version available for the longest time, and it was worth the wait. Just like any other Gundams that are not on Blu-ray, which is like virtually none at this point, because Afterwar Gundam X got announced for Blu-ray, and the next one is this potential miscut that I shared on Discord. Do you see how high that Blu-ray logo is?
Yeah, it's like touching the edge.
It actually isn't. It's like half a millimeter before the edge. But does anyone at all in the
it doesn't look
chat,
centered.
anyone in the chat, can you tell me, did you buy this, and did you get a copy that has a slipcase that's...
So I would just say, from what I can see, there looks like there's a lot of negative space underneath the title at the bottom.
Yeah.
So it very much
spine
looks
and everything.
wrong.
I mean, to be fair, it's the proper height, but I don't think these banners are going to line up. I was wondering that maybe they're actually trying to minimize the banner, but no, they would have centered it.
Phase them out, shrink them more and more over time.
Maybe, but no, they would have definitely centered the title if they were actually doing it.
Hunter's in the chat asking if you got the package yet.
It says on the tracking it's cleared customs, but it said cleared customs on a separate thing after the initial customs in Vancouver. So I hope that didn't go from Toronto to Vancouver to poison control to something that will get it like double taxed. I don't know. I'm prepared to pay the like $100 tax, but yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. It'll probably be here Monday, maybe Tuesday. So yeah, next we got Slime, which by the way, every time I saw this artwork, I didn't realize there was a slime here, which is supposedly the main character.
I know, right?
So color.
We talked about how bad the design layout was for this.
So color choices, I would not say is very good. And my brother says this character is literally only important for the initial whatever he copies her or whatever, and then she dies or whatever. But spoilers, which is in like the first episode from what I know. But in the anime, they drag it out for like 3 episodes when it really should only be 1. So that's just a little fun fact. And then we got the obligatory Black Clover season 2. Even though I don't particularly care about the series yet, it's just inevitably going to get an art box for season 2, I'm assuming. And, you know, I've already collected the rest of it. Might as well. So I can start watching it. And now, the Holy Grail. Have you guys heard of a little series called Katana Gatari? Are you still there, Hunter?
Yeah, he's in the chat. In
a non-cancer sized Blu-ray box. It is an art box from France. And I'm really happy. I didn't know that it was going to be an art box, so that's cool. It's the Sapphire edition, I guess you could say. That's what the translation... it says Edition Saphir. So that's probably Sapphire edition. Okay, onwards.
So he said he's heard the slime isekai is pretty good. Let me know how it is. Furthermore, what mangas do you guys read?
What did I just read? I was reading.
He also asked what we're watching right now.
What did I just watch? Perfect Blue.
So for me,
I was watching Hensuki.
Go ahead, Augie.
Okay, so
no, I mean,
as I showed before, I got
FDM. You're done with your pickups?
Yeah.
Okay.
To answer Hunter's question, I'm watching a lot of things recently. The one that I'm more kind of getting through at the moment is Down the Dollar and the Prince versus the Penguin Empire manga I am reading. It's toss up with that orange character like right there and some other mixed Yuris at the moment.
He's talking about Umar-chan. If anybody can't
Umar-chan.
See through the 144p, that's actually Umar-chan up there.
I am
listening to the audio version.
180p? Do you mean 1080?
Whatever's the higher P. Well, I showed this before. I got part 1 of Tokyo Ravens. Ooh.
Is it?
Now I got part 2 of Tokyo Ravens. Ooh. This is supposed to be the part 1 was supposed to come with the limited box, but I got both of them on both Blu-ray and DVD.
I really like the show, but the ending.
Don't spoil it.
I wasn't going to.
Up next, I ordered this at a decent price, but I didn't get the version that I want. But at the same time, I'm not going to complain. With Dance with Devils. Ever Dance with the Devil in the Pale New Light? This one has
triple banner.
Hey, I want to let him talk about something. On the YouTube chat, it says message retracted, meaning that he put up the chat and then deleted it, but it's still here on StreamYard. So just so you guys know, StreamYard lets me see all your retracted messages.
Well, he was basically saying the same thing he retyped.
I know.
Desolate and croissants.
Right, I get it. I'm just saying that that just so you guys know, like if you comment on anybody who's using StreamYard to stream their live streams,
You're not safe.
Yeah, they'll be able to see it, just so you know. So I don't know if anybody out there is like, stalking their crush on a stream that says like send me pictures of your feet, post then delete or something weird like that. They're going to be able to see it, just so you know. Also, I changed the
like
description.
How you say, let them talk, and you just keep interrupting my pickups. So, and once again, I'm putting the blame on you,
Excuse me. Let him talk.
Hey,
when you're saying Weekend at Bernie's, Crocodile Dundee, in the middle of him talking about Gundam, do you think that that's not completely a different situation than what I'm trying to let people know that I can see their deleted messages?
Yeah, well, I'm still blaming you with blame. This is the Netflix version.
My slipcover
released. I don't know. So it's a nude copy of Blame. And that is all my pickups.
By the way,
good.
I was just going to say the difference was I was in the middle of talking about my pickup. Brad, wait after you finished your thought.
So yeah, I updated the description to have the
I'm glad everyone can see me shuffling my magic cards around. Oh, which by the way, I got Thrones of Eldraine. For all one person in chat that cares.
I thought you said I got thrown into the drain. I mean,
technically, I got thrown into the drain
because he's so butthurt about magic for some reason. So anyway, the Corpse Party stuff's in there. If you guys want to buy it on Amazon,
there's better things to spend your time on,
like drugs.
Everything.
By the way, I realized that I didn't plug the
air.
I didn't plug any of our stuff here. So if you're still watching and you'd like to support the OCA podcast, the best way to do that is actually by sharing this podcast with your friends to get our viewership up. But the best directly financial way to do that is through the Patreon or through Super Chats, whatever you want to do. And if you want to support the actual channel for all the stuff that I do that is not podcast related, you can do that through the Anime Collector Patreon. And then we've got Stealthweeb if you are interested in some threads from your favorite show. And again, if you want to suggest anything, you can do that by sending a email to stealthweebstore@gmail.com, or you could just chat about it and whatever. Anyway, that's it for that. Thank you guys for sitting with me.
For watching. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Thanks for sitting with me for that grueling plug right there. So in terms of actual starting the articles here, because I don't have any pickups. I just ordered the live action Corpse Party though, so that'll be a pickup I hopefully have when we talk about Corpse Party. So here we go. Cody from Anime Outsiders Indiegogo is still going on. Now I just want to remind you guys, actually I don't think I brought this up the last time, but I'll tell you now, that this is Indiegogo. It's not Kickstarter. So the goal does not have to be met. This campaign will receive all funds raised, even if it does not reach its funding goal. So as I understand it, Cody has already made this comic. I know that he's been doing a web comic for years. This one looks like he hired another artist to jump on and do some better artwork. I haven't actually read his webcomic. Maybe Cody's a fairly decent artist, but the purpose of the Indiegogo is to make a print copy mostly. So you can buy the digital copy, which I think you might get immediately because I'm pretty sure he's already done with the whole thing for $4. But the physical copy is what the funding for this is going towards, from what I understand. Anyway.
Oh, how generous of you, Augie. Aqua's best girl. Like Magic players. So the blue, you like the blue?
Okay.
I think you like the blue, so you can mess up your opponent's deck.
A lot of
Blue
chats
man.
have come in. That
Blue
by the way,
balls.
if you didn't see it, Hunter said he's going to send your package on Monday or Tuesday. And Hunter, I will be contacting you hopefully by the end of the month about my package.
Oh wow! I didn't know I got express service. Thank you, Hunter.
I think you were the first one to.
Thank you. I was going to ask about that.
There's a lot of chats that came in.
Well, Otaku just came out of the closet about being a pigeon.
Well, yeah. Thank you for the information there, Otaku. So, wait, did he message retract this? Is that why? Was he?
What?
No, he didn't. I was wondering if he. Anyway. I was wondering if he did the thing I suggested where you type something like this and then immediately delete it because you sort of want to be caught. But it was going back to the joke about the message retracted being able to be seen on StreamYard. Anyway, did you know pigeons die at? Okay, I didn't. Yeah, he says at least the one eye. Great joke there. Anyway, now we're back on to. We're back on it. So, Gunsmith Cats Explosive Edition. We got an update here. Oh, that's great. None of my highlights came through. That's wonderful. Okay, so it says here. I'm pretty sure these are
TLDR. They
it's
promised.
It's right here. Whenever we do a project, the most nervous time for us is when the disc finally gets out into the world. Actually, that's not. It's just right here. Okay, we did screw up in one significant way. One of the stretch goals was to include a postcard in the set, and we completely and utterly forgot about it. And everyone who worked on it with us forgot. And all of the basic backers who got their sets last week forgot, except one who was smart enough to notice the omission, but not smart enough to realize he could use it to blackmail us. But his loss is your gain. Long story short, we're printing up the missing postcards, and we'll send them out to everyone who's already been sent their sets and include them with subsequent shipments.
Robert always has the best way of updating people on things.
It's like he has a personality.
Almost.
It's a game for quite a long time.
All right. So then the Megazone 2-3 news. First, they've opened up late ordering on their website for U.S. customers who missed the Kickstarter. Details and order buttons can be found at animego.com/MZ23 or 23 for our Megazone 2-3. Second, and more important, we've received a word that we are going to be able to expand our license outside of the USA.
To the surprise of virtually no one.
We're heading off to Japan on the 14th, and we'll be finalizing the details during the trip. So previously, so what did you do? You put a Canadian address, even though it is USA.
Hold on. Let me explain. So I went to back it, and then it. The thing is, it has my address already pre-installed into the system,
right?
And when it said select shipping, it was like US $7. There's no other option. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna order this, so I guess I'm gonna send it to your address, Brad, or something. But it just went through and didn't ask me any additional information. So theoretically, I'm paying for US shipping to a Canadian address. I'm sure Robert's gonna be like, hey, this isn't right. And I want him to do that, so I actually get the package. So this update, I'm hoping I can at least get Robert to reconfigure my order after it's opened to outside the US. Anyway.
So let's step back a few. So FDNM, regarding what your pickup on Warren the Pocket.
Yes.
If you look at Alfred's pockets,
okay,
one of them is you should see a pocket knife.
Yes, Crocodile Dundee. What about it?
Yeah, very huge pocket knife, may I mind you.
Almost as big as Crocodile Dundee's knife, which he considers a knife. Okay.
And Weekends at Bernie's is a terrible, terrible spoiler for the show. But what's next? Oh, yeah, the current Kickstarter that we were talking about. What I'm hoping for when he relaunches the Kickstarter for international shipping, hopefully some more U.S. shipping if you missed the current Kickstarter and
there is that the late the store is open for that or whatever is what one of the updates was.
I don't think they're going to
Cool.
relaunch a Kickstarter for it. They're just going to let you buy it through the store. And he said, by the way, I forgot where I read this, but he said that they're very close to reaching certain stretch goals. If the additional orders get them there, then we'll still get the perks, even if we didn't get it through Kickstarter.
Okay, because my only worry is not getting the all tracks edition that I would like to have from this. But
So is there multiple dubs for Megazone?
there's an awkward split for the UK dub from 3 different companies apparently, but you have the UK dub and you have the US dub, to my knowledge, and one of them has VIC MIGNOGNA in it as a McDonald's worker. So,
Wow.
So
Did
I'm
they
gonna-
make it WickDonald's like every show ever?
I think this one actually let the M in.
Oh, wow.
All right,
Risky.
So Takasu says, dark humor is like food. Not everyone gets it. That's actually just regular humor you're thinking of. Anyway, so Yutaka Yamamoto is crowdfunding Maho Shoujo Tachi anime film inspired by Kyoto Animation Arson. All right, Reese, take it easy, man.
Tasteless there, but
No, Yutaka Yamamoto is from Full Metal Panic, from Ofu, Full Metal Panic, Second Raid, Fractale, and Wake Up Girls. He worked at Kyoto Animation. This is why he's making it. He said, project. He said Yamamoto states that he wants the film to quote change anime and send a message to others in the industry. Further, Yamamoto stated he could not forgive the evil madness that caused him the loss of a friend and is seeking to defeat it through animation. So the project is on Campfire. It's the Japanese Kickstarter.
Wow. So not only is there a fiery illustration, but it's on Campfire.
Yeah. The irony's not lost on me. So anyway, he's doing that. That's a thing. It'll be interesting to see where this goes. All right, into whatever is next. Convention news. Frame Arms Girl anime film makes U.S. debut at Anime Fest, New York City. New York
I'm
Comic Con.
interested in watching.
Is that what that is? NYCC.
I
It's
think
got a New
that's
York Comic
supposed to be this weekend, isn't
Con.
it?
Yeah. Why is this all toys? So anyway, the film's making the debut. We got so much to go through. I can't stop to even think about anything. All right. Miyazaki has turned down multiple offers from Hollywood to make a live-action Nausicaa film. So, for those of you who I'm just to cut down on the amount of articles you actually read, I'm going to just summarize this. For those of you who don't know, when Nausicaa first came over here, they cut out like 30 minutes from it, maybe 40, and they changed it to Warriors of the Wind and made it like a straight up action thing rather than what it was. So when it came to the Kabuki stage play, Miyazaki had, quote, 2 ironclad conditions for it. Number 1 is that he wasn't involved in it at all. And number 2 is that they used the full title Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind or whatever. There's some stuff in here about there's like an offhand comment about how often he gets approached by Hollywood to make a movie and he turns them down each time. All right. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Golden Wind is coming to Toonami on October 26th.
That's surprising no one, but cool.
All right.
I'm kind of surprised because of how soon it just ended and now it's coming. I mean, that's great.
Well, I think it's because
Kind of surprised.
season
I don't know.
4 is done,
Didn't it
so
say?
they have a new block.
Oh yeah, October 20th. Yeah, so it's coming very soon.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
So
good for us and
Rolling
for Viz
Stone
actually
told
releasing
you, hold
stuff.
on.
So anime leaves primetime television in Japan. I think Lishansky shared this. This is actually pretty interesting. So it says, as of this October, the 2 remaining primetime series, Doraemon and Crayon Shinchan, will be moving to Saturdays. In the past, Doraemon and Crayon Shinchan brought in reliable double-digit ratings, but these days their share is down to 6 to 7%. Anime was a part of primetime from the beginning, with Tetsuo Atom or Astro Boy airing weekday evenings starting in 1964. By 1979, there were 18 anime series in primetime, with multiple shows competing against each other in the same time slots on different networks. But several factors slowly led to the current situation. For one, series like Neon Genesis Evangelion did well in late night reruns, and shows even began to be created specifically for late night, where they could feature more mature content. Meanwhile, the number of children being born in Japan began to fall, meaning series for families with young members inevitably attracted fewer viewers. Finally, technological developments in recent years mean that more viewers now consume anime without relying on traditional broadcast television at all. What does all this mean for anime viewers outside of Japan? They won't be directly affected by a change in broadcast time, of course, but the lack of young viewers in Japan may mean, number one, we'll continue to see more anime series aimed at an older audience, and two, even more series made with the international audience in mind. So, do you guys have anything? I think it's pretty straightforward. Do you have any?
So it's going to expand what we've seen in the early 2000s.
Okay. Yeah, I just thought it was interesting because
What?
I said, yeah, I just thought it was interesting because we have already started to see the effects of the low birth rate in Japan. And I don't think anime is going to be the same thing in 10 years and 20 years from now than it was when we got into it. It's constantly evolving, obviously, but I just think that Japan's got to get Japan needs they need a crashed economy. They need to crash their economy and rebuild again. This is a stagnation that happens culturally when things go this way, where people can't have kids because wages are too low, and banking is causing inflation to get to a point where you can't thrive, and then that destroys the population to a point where eventually the economy crashes, and then everything gets built back up, and the cycle continues. But continuing here, so we've got some neat stuff in our theater release news. Lupin the Third has a new Lupin the Third the First. Now here's the thing. I figured out why they call it that. Because this story revolves partly around Arsène Lupin, where Lupin's namesake comes from. So when they're calling it Lupin Lupin Sensei the First, they're referencing.
They're going back to the original Lupin.
First. Yeah, so they're actually, that's what the hat that you see him wearing is supposed to be Arsène Lupin's hat. Arsène Lupin being the original French novel character that Lupin the Third is based on. And yeah, there's the hat right here. Who in the novel, I think the first novel or one of the first novels was Arsène Lupin versus Sherlock Holmes, right?
That was a later version when he was trying to get Doyle to collaborate on their two.
The thing is that
very, very high selling novels.
And so some of them have to change the name of him to Sherlock Holmes and stuff like that. But anyway, so yeah, this is cool. I would love to go to Japan and see this with Samurai Jeff, who now lives in Japan, by the way. Congrats, man, getting all the way. I really didn't think that was going to happen, to be honest. I thought that was a dream that you were deluding yourself into making a reality. But dude, I'm happy for you. I'm really glad you got this.
Does he have like friends and company over there?
His girlfriend is from Japan, and she was studying abroad in America. And she moved back to Japan. They're going to get married, I believe, and that's where they're going to be living. So anyway, yeah, I would love to go to Japan and see it with him. So because I, quite frankly, don't want to wait till it comes out over here. But it would be like a $3,000 trip. So
yeah.
Happen. Unless you guys want to crowdfund it, which I really doubt you do.
I feel like they could if you could make that in crowdfunding, you could use it on more efficient things.
Oh, of course, yeah. So Gundam 40th anniversary celebration for Char's Counterattack is coming out December 5th, 2019. So
It's coming out. The celebration. What's the celebration?
40th anniversary celebration for the theater release of it coming to U.S.
Oh.
theaters. Sorry, I
Okay,
didn't.
so they're just bringing it out again.
Yes. Thanks for
They're
doxing
airing it.
my zip code there, guys. auto doing it. Anyway, all right. Anyway, so Augie, I think you shared this. Ojamajo Doremi Magical Girls
Yes.
anime 20th anniversary film slated for early next summer.
Yes. So with this anniversary film coming out, another hope or interest in the series is going to come through, and potentially they might be able to try to sell this back into the licensors to pick it up. So I'm hoping from anniversary we might see either a re-airing on the local networks, which I'm being super optimistic about, or someone a la Discotech or maybe Viz will pick it up and re-release it. Or maybe we can see the manga come over here in this regard. So
Well, time will tell.
all this is just a 20th anniversary film, but I'm hoping that we'll see more livelihood from the franchise from this.
Oh, yeah, well, maybe. We'll have to wait and see. All right. So we got, I'll just pull these all open.
What's sad is I thought the TV series did well on the Fox box back when it aired in the mid 2000s, but for some reason it never got a hard release, and all these
The
local
release never
yahoos
got
that were
hard.
trying to sell. Yeah, all these local yahoos just keep trying to sell like bootlegs of the series, but always baffled me that.
Oh, I can't click on that. Oh wait, where'd it go? Yeah, I can't. It hasn't loaded up yet. I'll wait. There's a comment I was going to address. All right, so new data shows roughly 1/3 of all anime studios were in financial trouble during 2018. The article basically restates that premise without any extra additional news here. But yeah, that's interesting. Well, actually, no, there is something interesting in here. It says, some speculate that the KyoAni fires caused a massive, quote, loss of human resources, loss of production materials, and led to increased amounts of loss for the fiscal year. That, again, was 2019, though. So they say, what does that mean? What does this mean for this year's reports once they come viewable next year? Only time will tell. Tells anything or not. So, yeah, the thing about that is that KyoAni doesn't just work on KyoAni shows. They get outsourced for lots of. Every company gets outsourced for this shot or that shot or whatever, to do this CG or that.
That sounds like it could be really convoluted trying to arrange things like that.
Yeah, it sounds like not the best method, but
Yeah, it's a type of job and getting different types of funds from other properties.
So in the new
That way, it's not
Pokemon,
always one source and draining the well.
sorry, do you want to restate that?
What you're seeing is when they outsource to other companies, they're trying to get new funding streams to come in. That way, they're not trying to dry out the common well that they get their funding from.
Right. So real quick, Imperial Officer
in the
07
business.
says, I really got into anime thanks to Kiki's delivery service English dub, which brought me to Ruby.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I don't.
Scared.
So okay. So Otakusa says Ruby is not anime. Imperial Officer 07 says Ruby is not anime. What? So Ruby was created at Rooster Teeth by Monty Ohm, and it's animated in America and all that stuff. So it's
With
it's
Japanese style, anime style characters.
right. So it's pseudo anime or anime by association or whatever phrase you want to use. So anyway, so not just Ash, new Pokemon anime, the one just titled Pocket Monsters, reveals it will have 2 protagonists. And when I read this, I thought it was very dumb because this character's name is Go, and he says, "My dream is to catch every Pokemon there is." To
Oh
which
yeah,
I
they're gonna
wanted
make
Pokemon-
Pokemon Go the game or whatever.
Oh, I didn't even make that connection. That's funny. That's really funny. But yeah, because I was in the other article I read, it was GOU because that's how it's actually Longo. But yeah, so now that I see it as just GO, that is funny. But when I read this, Go, who says, "My dream is to catch every Pokemon there is." Do you mean you gotta catch them all? Because I thought I had forgotten Ash's. I thought that was Ash's like phrase or whatever. But his thing is he wants to be a Pokemon master, right? So I guess
I'm gonna be a Pokemon master, gonna catch them all.
Yeah,
it's like
it's better than Tracy, who just wanted to watch all the Pokemon sleep together.
Oh my!
Because he was a breeder. Anyway,
Tracy wanted to draw the Pokemon. Brock was supposed to be a breeder, even though he never bred anything.
Brock the breeder, and Tracy was the analyst. Or whatever, okay, my joke is
the artist.
Sorry. So, Detective Conan manga gets a new Police Academy spinoff. So it's going to be following. It's going to be following Toru Amuro from the newer movies and stuff. And it's going to be his police academy days. Record of Lodos War, the Pledged Diadem novel gets manga adaptation. So more podcast magic apparently is making stuff that we talk about.
Despite us not really wanting it particularly.
Dandy tries out for a black company in bizarre manga crossover.
She's back.
Apparently they said, did you know that there's an entire Oh My Goddess spin-off manga entitled Oh My Job Hunting Goddess about Dandy trying to find a job to help out the finances of the Morisato family. In the latest issue, Dandy interviews for a position with the infamous Tei group in the comic crossover with Mr. Tanagawa Middle Management Blues. So that's funny. I hate Oh My Goddess, but that is funny.
I'm just annoyed that whoever it is, Dark Horse, hasn't released the final omnibuses of it. They've released the singles, but like anyone who wants the beautiful omnibus editions is missing out.
Real quick to answer, the comment hasn't come up in StreamYard yet, but the question from Imperial Officer was so is there no Ash? No, it's going to follow both characters.
It's going to be a duo.
I wonder if they're going to be, because in the article they talk about how like Misty and Brock and all them were side characters, right? But I wonder if what's going to happen is that they're going to be telling two stories simultaneously, one of it following Ash and one of it following Go.
That did not work well for Halo 5. So,
I was going to say that perhaps at the end of the series they end up battling or something like that. Like maybe that's what they're doing.
Like there's too much imagination involved in that idea.
I was going to say that's probably something that would actually be better than what they're going to do.
Yeah, well, they're just
going to have two dumbasses.
I don't see how
around.
I don't see you. It doesn't make sense to set up two protagonists unless you're doing it that way.
They're going to have two dumbasses that are like, "Hey, I want to catch all the Pokemon in the world. Hey, I want to be a Pokemon master," and then they're going to be like going on an adventure together, and then they're both going to see like a Squirtle or something and be like, my Squirtle, no, it's my Squirtle.
I forgot why they said Pokemon Master when he just wants to become the league champion.
Dude, he wants to be the best there ever was.
At 10 years old.
Dun, dun.
At 10 going on 30.
One that they aged them.
So Naruto's author Kishimoto reveals what characters' names would have been if the editor didn't intervene. So I want to give a quick shout out to editors in Japan because so much of what has made a lot of series good has been the creators getting input from their editor and changing things. So, for example, Android 17 and 18 were actually not supposed to be the androids in the Android Saga of Dragon Ball Z. Android 19 and 20 were. The editor saw what Akira Toriyama had made and said, these characters are annoying and boring, right? So,
Oh my God.
he had to create new characters, and he made Android 20 Dr. Giro or whatever. Anyway, I thought like stuff like that happens, and it's like because you notice that Trunks never actually talks about what the androids looked like, and all that. So anyway, a lot of good things have come out of having to work around what your editor says, and this one we've been saved from some truly terrible things we're about to read about. So I'm going to read this just because I thought it was really interesting. So Naruto author reveals what characters' names would have been if the editor didn't intervene, as well as several other incredible saves made by the editor. The manga/anime Naruto may have ended years ago, but its legacy still lives on strong. The sequel manga, Boruto, is popular. Naruto's author, Masashi Kishimoto, has been putting out a new manga, Samurai 8, The Tale of Hachimaru, and Japanese people are still naming their kids after Naruto characters. Yep, so that entire paragraph there was just to plug another article, but and Naruto trivia still gets people's attention online. So Japanese Twitter user at Raika Kurume recently posted some information revealed on TV about the early interaction Naruto's author had with his characters and story. While some of it is not too surprising, other facts will make fans of the series laugh out loud. Here's the tweet with screenshots from the broadcast and notes on the information revealed. And here's a translation here. Said Naruto's creator. So Kishimoto says, I'm going to give this badass character the name Momotaro. Editor says, let's go with Zabuza instead. Naruto's creator says, I'm going to give this character the name Kotaro. Editor says, let's go with Gaara instead. Also, stop making Kakashi talk like an old man. Then he went on to say he's a demon of foresight. Yep, that's right. Kishimoto originally wanted to name Zabuza, the demon of the hidden mist with a huge sword, Momotaro. For those who don't know, Momotaro is the name of the protagonist in the classic Japanese story Peach Boy, about a little boy named Momotaro who hatches from a peach and leaves home to beat up demons. It's essentially a little kid's story, so it would be kind of like naming Zabuza Paul Bunyan or Rumpelstiltskin. Similarly, Gaara's original name of Kotaro comes from the legend of Kotaro Koizumi, a tale of a child born from a human man and a snake woman. That one at least has a bit more of an edge to it, but it's still seen today as a children's tale with a little boy protagonist. Here's Kotaro, seen in statue form, is not the most intimidating of characters. Of course, to be fair, a lot of other names in Naruto come from old Japanese legends and tales. Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Tsunade all originate from the same story of Jiraiya Goketsu Monogatari. And Sarutobi Sasuke, giving the names for Sarutobi the Hokage and, of course, Sasuke. Okay, so that's the full title? That's weird that it's... Why is that italicized here? Oh, no, okay, I see. And Sarutobi Sasuke was the name of a ninja that appeared in stories during the late 19th, early 20th century. The difference is that those names sound cool. Kotaro and Momotaro, unfortunately, are at best generic and at worst chuckle-worthy.
I thought this was going to go in a direction where literally every character's name ended with the words Aro. How about something that doesn't end with Aro, Kishimoto?
The difference is that those names... hold on. Here are the changes suggested by the editor that were listed in the tweet. Cutting out a ton of exposition, putting in Sasuke, making the Wave Country arc with Zabuza and Haku, stopping him from making the Hokage and teachers animals, having all the characters take the Chunin exam all at once, the models for Rock Lee and the other Chunin exam characters, turning Naruto from a fox into a human, changing Zabuza's partner Haku from a bear into a human, giving the protagonist narrow eyes and the rival wider eyes, having him make the names of jutsu consistent for world building sake rather than random and all over the place. So he said, phew, that's a ton of things in a series that we've taken for granted, all of which were suggested by the editor. It goes to show that while an author/artist may have the passion and skill to create something awesome, it's always good for them to be reined in and tempered by a separate critical eye. And then another link to an article. I thought that was interesting. I hope you guys enjoyed that.
No,
also,
I did not enjoy that. Refund.
just some news here about the PlayStation. They've sold 100 million PlayStation 4 consoles now. So that's interesting. That's all I want to say about that. And Sony removes 4 PlayStation only from Death Stranding page. So we've previously speculated about this.
I thought we, well, I don't know if we covered it, but that was in the news a while ago, I feel like.
It was because of the Australian website.
Okay.
So the fact that the tag was placed on the site and then intentionally removed may have likely been to strengthen rumors that the game will be ported to other platforms such as Xbox One or PC. So this is what it looked like earlier this week for when the article was written, and this is what it looks like now. So it says only on PlayStation, now it's missing. So I don't know. Maybe if you guys are interested in playing it, you might get to play it on PC.
I'm glad I can, PC Master Race that instead of Kojima locking it to PS4.
So Link's Awakening, the remake, swaps the mermaid top for a necklace. And this article goes into all the censorship and whatnot. Now, here's the thing, though. So I'll just, it's not a long article. I'll just go ahead and read it here. Those familiar with the original Japanese Game Boy version of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening may be disappointed with the remake, as the new Link's Awakening game for the Switch had the mermaid bikini item swapped out for a necklace like the censored Western release. So in the West, rather than a bikini top, you actually got a necklace in the Game Boy game as well, right? Back then. Yeah. And the original Japanese Game Boy version of Link's Awakening involved the fisherman catching a bikini top, with Link being tasked with returning it to the mermaid. And then they've got things where you can watch the actual sequence in the game from the Japanese perspective. And
do you see some, what is it, 8-bit titties?
Well, no, you don't. And that's the thing, is that when the water looks like this, you don't see them, right? But when the water looks like... Oh, I didn't get to that image yet. But when the water looks like this, right, you would see them. So the censoring of the top into a necklace originally appeared in the English iteration of the original Game Boy Link's Awakening.
Isn't it in the Japanese remake?
Yes.
The necklace, yeah?
Yes. So as such, the English original Link's Awakening remake naturally also had the necklace. So, from what I understand... Say what?
I still say no nipple, no foul. Because if you see the mermaid sprite, it looks like, aside from the nape of her neck to head, that's all that's revealed. All you're going to see at worst is a silhouette.
Yeah. So I'm just agreeing that, like, it's such a minor thing to change, and it makes sense why they would change it with the updated graphics. And obviously the sensibilities of 2019 are different from back then. And they're trying to skew it to a younger audience and worldwide release. Because back in the day, they made these games for the Japanese audience only. And then, they sold overseas. That's great. We made some extra money. But nowadays, it's, we have to make this
international.
International from the get-go to maximize our profits, because it's the only thing keeping us afloat in our Japanese economy. So aside from the necklace, the original Game Boy Link's Awakening Japanese version also had a female anthropomorphic hippo character stripping partway out of a towel, exposing her breasts, because there was like a painter here, right? So you can see the boobs here, right? So in the English one, they just changed it to just naked, right? But it somehow works better. So in this one, they put it in like a wardrobe. So anyway,
okay.
Make of that what you will. This is such a minor thing. I don't personally care about this, but I mean, I really don't think that this such a minor change, should be any reason not to buy the game, because it looks like a great game. Yeah, right. I know.
It's so minuscule. Sure, we'd like it to be like the optimal whatever R-rated edition, but it's whatever.
So Mario and Luigi RPG developer goes bankrupt. So Alpha Dream, the developers
scary.
behind. Okay, just real quick. This is not Super Mario RPG's developer. That was SquareSoft, right? Just
I don't care. I care about the Game Boy ones.
Okay. I'm just stating that for anybody in the chat who might not know that or be misunderstanding. But this is a whole different series. Alpha Dream, the developers behind the Mario and Luigi RPG series, have filed for bankruptcy. The company has cited poor revenues and higher costs of development as reasons for the financial failure. Revenues were as high as 300 million yen in 2014, although they had amassed debts as large as 465 million by 2018. Unsurprisingly, the company began life in the construction. Sorry, did I say unsurprisingly? Surprisingly, the company began life in the construction industry in 1991, changing its name and then switching to video game development in 2000. It remains to be seen whether Nintendo will continue to make games in the Mario and Luigi RPG series, which was praised more in comparison to other less than satisfactory RPG-based Mario games. So I shared this other article here too because they said founded by Tetsuo Mizuno in January 2000. I thought that these dates conflicted, but I see now that they don't. They also released Tomato Adventure, another Japan exclusive, as well as a handful of Hamtaro games, which, let's be real, is the real tragedy here. All right, so continuing into release news, you got a little bit to talk about. Sentai Filmworks summons up Assassin's Pride TV anime. So I guess this has been licensed by Sentai for international streaming and North America home video release. So look forward to that. Funimation to release a new Yu Yu Hakusho OVA with subtitles and an English dub. And according to what I've seen on Twitter, they got the original cast back together. So
I was so afraid that Pony Canyon it was going to forcefully release this.
I believe
I will not be buying this if they kick Chuck Huber out of playing Hiei.
I believe that what is it? The tweet was saying that the guy at the panel, Justin Cook or whatever, was saying how he wants to try to make sure they honor the original cast and blah blah blah. And Pony Canyon only did the soundtrack.
They released the vinyl, but
that's not the Blu-ray.
They announced that they made the OVA for quite some time. Also, with as you mentioned, Justin Cook, thanks to him, he was able to produce the English dub for Yu Yu Hakusho, which the TV series was originally from anime. Yes, he voiced Yusuke from Anime Works. Then somehow it transitioned to be a Funimation property, and thanks to him, he was able. What?
I thought they only had the movie Anime Works. The one movie.
Anime Works had the movie. Then they did season 1 with Justin Cook as a producer. Then somehow it swapped over to Funimation, which did all the rest.
U.S. Manga Corp has the early movies.
Poltergeist movie, which is the second one.
All right. So anyway, let me address some of these comments here. So regarding the question about Ruby, is it like Red versus Blue? Is what I think you meant there. Yes, it is.
Absolutely not.
Well, but it's made by
Rooster Teeth.
Also made by Rooster Teeth. So in that regard,
Red versus Blue features, at least the earlier seasons, a lot of in-game footage that they just
machinima.
Yes.
Thought there was another question here I was going to answer.
I don't worry about it.
Anyway.
Right.
Okay, so continuing here. Oh, right. Red and yes, you actually. I saw that when you said that. He said here. I think it means I meant Pokemon Red and Blue regarding Go and Ash. Yes, I don't know because I think Red and Blue is like Ash and Gary, right? So it's not. Yeah. They aren't. I don't think that they're actually. They aren't actually from what I understand, they're not directly rivals. Like Gary's probably still in it. Wouldn't it be funny if Gary's like 30 years old now, but Ash is still 10?
Oh my god.
Anyway, all right. So continuing here. So we've talked about this guy. This is the Adult Swim creative director or whatever, the co-creator of Adult Swim. Said FLCL Progressive fans, the DVD collection of all 6 episodes is out. You can get it here. For those of you who have been asking, there will be a combo Blu-ray.
After we sucker you into getting the DVD while misleading people and thinking we're not going to release anything else. But yes, that's nice.
He says there will be a combo Blu-ray FLCL Progressive alternative. Is that what the?
I think those are 2 separate seasons, Progressive and Alternative.
Right. So he's saying they're going to combo. I think both of them are going to come in the same set.
No, it's a. Or wait.
It's a tweet. He might have. Like, I don't know.
Combo Blu-ray DVD is what
That's
I thought.
That's what I thought, but he's got them. He might mean that they're going to both come out on them. So anyway, coming after the New Year. So if Blu-ray's more your thing, hang tight.
So maybe they're waiting for Alternative to come out on DVD and then drop both of them on the same Blu-ray.
I don't know. I'm just saying that we covered this in the past. People had asked about it, and he said we're fighting to get a Blu-ray made, and now they're saying they are. They
won.
All right. So also, Viz announced that the live-action Diamond is Unbreakable JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is coming to Blu-ray on February 11th. And give me a second to make sure that Hide All Adult is turned on the right stuff. Okay, good. It is.
You didn't announce
that. Only adult.
Partially don't really. Technically, it was a podcast magic. Viz is releasing the ping pong manga now.
Oh, cool.
As I showed like a few weeks ago, the ping pong live action movie as part of my pickups. Now, if Discotech would just hurry up and re-release the Ping Pong Club on Blu-ray.
Ping Pong Club has nothing to do with ping pong, the anime.
I know, but it both has that same sport.
Yeah, but I don't. Okay, whatever. Pokemon Diamond and Pearl Battle Dimension Complete Collection and NASA 4K.
That's it.
Speaking of 4K, my brother picked up that latest Godzilla Hollywood movie in 4K.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet, but
okay.
So it's
it's Chanime.
Yeah.
And
DVD only, not buying.
So continuing here,
I will finally complete all the releases of Pokemon over here. Release all the episodes.
After that,
there you go. Well, until they release the complete series of this new one coming out in October.
Well, you're never going to complete if you're considering the brand new ones, because they're just going to keep making more.
Hey, it's an ongoing list.
Somebody shared this image from the
Gucci
runway thing of this new clothing line that seems Lupin inspired, but really it just looks like a tranny version of Carmen Sandiego. Somebody had a great comment about what the guy looked like. What did they say? Oh, he looked like Oren from Parks and Rec. Anyway, all right. So there's that.
Moving right along.
Michael B. Jordan reveals Rasengan jacket from his new clothing line. Right? And I hope you've got deep pockets because it costs you $795 for that jean jacket with picture of Naruto on the back.
Oh, I thought you meant him have deep pockets so that when he gets sued, he can pay for it.
No, I'm pretty sure he probably went to the proper channels. I don't understand these celebrity clothing line. Nobody buys this shit.
Except for other
celebrities. I can buy the same thing.
Guys, this could be you.
Far less.
This could be you with your little leather, like fanny pack purse.
That
Thought
looks
you were
more like a
circling the
logo
new
for a
product.
company local-ish to here.
Like that. I like how that shoe looks like a New Balance or a Nike, traditional Nike, not the strange New World ones that are out there.
Traditional slave labor to Nike.
Brandon Saul
Blood,
says,
sweat, and tears.
support your clothing line.
No, just blood and tears.
Anyway, yeah, some of these things are like this one here is a $1,500 parka.
Wow.
Oh, anyway, continuing. Oh, I got a mature content warning here. Hold on. I'm pretty sure that I know what this is.
Show it.
No.
Show that mouse
I mean, I'm
pad.
pretty sure. Yeah, I this is from actually last podcast.
Mouse.
When I have all the tabs open, as you guys have seen, like with the stuff with my keyboard, my mouse has been acting up too, where it's like double clicking.
Your mouse? What?
Mouse
my
is
mouse
messing
is
up.
Hold on. There's a way to do this without. If I take out this at the back, it'll censor things again. So just let me. I figured out a way to get around Sankaku Complex's thing. Here we go. Okay, so this is from actually last podcast, but I accidentally when the tabs are like there's a lot of them, I go to click on the tab because I open up all the tabs first, read all the articles, and I organize them by what the topic is. So like if two different sources are covering the same thing, I can see which article is better in terms of information provided and everything. So anyway, I sometimes accidentally close the tab when I go to click on one of them. And I don't notice it because like when you hover over the tab for like a half a second, it'll switch from click on the tab to click on the tab's X and close it. But anyway, for those of you who've always wanted yourself a boob mouse pad, but you're not into OPI, there is now an EPI.
A flat-chested.
Yeah.
Hey, there's some who have arthritis.
I was going to say have carpal tunnel and a flat chest.
Anyway, so that's the thing. And I'm going to, whatever. So also protect yourself with Sailor Moon condoms in Fukuoka and Hiroshima. Winning love by daylight, fighting disease by moonlight.
Wow, that's almost the Hello Kitty dildos.
Otaku says cheap eye.
Personal massagers.
So I call it EPI because flat chest is where it's at, and I in Japanese means good. Anyway,
I think
he's changing it to Chipai for Chisana. Anyway, what?
I think the person wanted us to say Andel pie. Doesn't make sense, but
okay.
So with this article that we're showing, we've seen this last year. So
what's
the new?
This is the picture of the one from last year. It's literally the exact same thing. Anyway, they're just doing it again. And I think it's funny that the mascot you're putting on your prophylactic is a 14-year-old girl.
Is that child porn?
No.
Is midget porn child porn?
Yep.
I should put that on a shirt.
Not in Canada.
McDonald's Japan unveils new Oreo and matcha green tea frappuccino, however it's pronounced. Augie, this is all you.
Frappe. Okay, so we have our different variants of green matcha frappes. Which Starbucks last year or a few months ago had these sort of items. So I don't see how big of a stretch it is to get this over here in the U.S. or America lands. So if you're interested in seeing this, what you can peacefully try to do, aside from just go to Japan and enjoy it and come back, is potentially do like some sort of hashtag trend for matcha green.
I mean, you could.
Green tea flavoring.
I think that.
Yeah, it could.
I think it's
trying to bring
a little different
idea into the world.
Because Starbucks is a tea and coffee place, right? So right. I think that this is more. I don't think they'll bring it over to America. If they did, they would probably do it in California to test. For those of you who aren't as fortunate as I was to have grown up in California, Subway tests their new products in California, and for a while they had a garlic Parmesan artichoke pesto that was warm. Amazing. I got like Subway every day when I was in college when they had that, and it didn't I was like the only one who bought it. Or the only one who knew about it and ordered it on everything. And they didn't expand it to the rest of the United States. It's such a tragedy. Same with the pecan praline at Coffee Bean. God, that was an addictive drink. I used to buy like 3 of those a day. I would get out of class in college, and I would go to Coffee Bean and buy like 3 of them, and I would bring them to when I would pick my wife up from high school when she was a senior, and she would drink one, I would drink one, and we'd save one and have it later. Bought so many of those every day, and they still didn't continue with them. Continuing here. All right, so help your kitty reach enlightenment with Felicimo's new Buddhist-style halo scratcher. I just thought this was funny. All right. Spice Siege Fist of the North Star figure is ready for action. You are already pre-ordering. As you know, I would share anything that's cool.
2 comments after this.
Go ahead.
First off, vanilla Coke is tasty. Second off, it's not a soda, it's a pop.
It's a Coke. What's wrong with you?
I hate
this. Vanilla cherry.
Ew. Coke. Third infraction. Otakuzo said soda, yet he resides in Canada. So terrible.
How's that
F minus.
Okay. New figure recreates the gentle ohm of Nausicaa. So this is pretty impressive, I think.
Don't tell me it moves like real physics.
Well, see how he's holding it? Yeah.
It looks like it does.
No, it does. Look. And the eyes have a little swiper.
To open and close? Oh, wait.
To switch them from blue to red.
It looks like the bead moves.
It looks like the what moves?
It looks like it's a bead that flips over.
Yeah, that is basically what it is.
I kind of want it to run on my hand or my arm just to see if it really moves or how it would move.
Well, it must be easy enough.
Because it doesn't look like there's...
Look, it contracts and expands. It moves just like they do in the...
That's so good.
Yeah, it's cool, but it's also so gross that I wouldn't want to touch it.
That's...
Anyway, I just thought it was cool. All right, so Crunchyroll announces expansive Gundam licensing partnership with Sunrise and Sotsu. So Crunchyroll announces, I'll just read that again, to manage merchandise rights for
moving
5
on.
of the Gundam franchise's biggest titles across North and South America, the United Kingdom, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. Some of the merchandise fans can look forward to will arrive in the form of everything from apparel and bags to accessories, home decor, furnishings, lifestyle items, whatever that's supposed to mean, food, and more. Get your Gundam
Hopefully
toothbrush.
that means furniture.
Probably a beanbag of the Zaku helmets, a beanbag chair. Snickers discovers the secret of Titans from Attack on Titan in new campaign. So they do the eat a Snickers, you're not yourself, right? And I thought that it was I legitimately thought that it was gonna turn the celebrity face they're using here back into celebrity. No, it turns back into the Colossal Titan. And it's quite funny. It just put that little clip of the animation. Because they throw the blades off. The Snickers bars are just like cheaply put on top of the animation.
I was going to say.
All right. Narita Airport accommodation. New hostel opens in converted Japanese elementary school. So, Augie?
So for this one, I'm kind of glad to see this because you're taking an abandoned building and you're reusing it. Repurposing it. And this is another way for tourists to actually view through what an elementary school would be in Japan, as well as another way to try to promote travel. locally.
I find it funny because according to the images here, so little was done to convert it into a hostel other than just dropping some beds on the floor in a classroom. And because it's Japan, they're like, roll out the futons, guys. I mean, they are in like a little box spring or whatever, but
like locally over where I live, there's this and in junior high for quite some time. Then a distillery came, like one of those microbrew distilleries came in and just repurposed it to be this bar and grill type restaurant. It's not just one, it's like multiple different restaurants and venues. I'm not sure what that trend's called. It's interesting. I like how they repurpose something they think would be boring and make it something more
cheaply.
Yes,
like buying an abandoned building on the down low and refurnishing. Is that the word? Refurnished. Yeah, rather than actually demolishing and building a new building. I mean, it is for a hostel.
Yeah.
All right, you have a chance to feel a shark's nads. I don't like the word nards. And more at Sunshine Aquarium's Lots of Sex exhibit. So, because why not?
So they're having sex with fish.
Hey, Otaku-so.
Yeah.
Isn't there an article about this?
So, limited time event teaches us about how our deep sea friends like to get down.
I think that there was a Mr. Obvious part of the Bob and Tom show up north, a radio program where a caller gets a distinct interest in fishing. And Mr. Obvious can catch the clues in time to realize that that caller's interest in fish is going a little too far. Okay.
So
move to the article.
I'm clicking on it. It won't. It's not changing. Do you hear me clicking?
Is your mouse double clicking?
There we go. Now it's here. Okay.
Yeah, I hear you quadruple clicking.
Limited time event teaches us about how our deep sea. Yes.
But why in the world are they using such a saucy light up sign for this?
Yes, it looks like the red light.
Maybe that'll explain it.
Get your hot fish action. Turn off the highway now. Live nude fish. All right.
You can never look at steamed fish the same way again.
Yeah, they're giving a new meaning to fish served hot. All right, so limited time event teaches us about how our deep sea friends like to get down. We often don't think about fish and other sea creatures as sexual beings. Wow. I just love when they're like, why is there even a need for that? We're looking at...
Do you know how fish procreate? They pretty much lay eggs and just ejaculate onto the eggs.
To fertilize them. We don't...
There's not really a sex there.
When looking at cute little goldfish swimming around its bowl, you might not think it's really raging with hormones and looking to get its little freak on, but it is. To help shed light on this fact, Sunshine Aquarium, who have been known for their adventurous campaigns such as Horror Aquarium and Grand King of Strange Creatures title match, will be working a little blue for the next month with their Lots of Sex exhibit. Sex here is used in a very general sense, meaning this will be a celebration of marine copulation as well as the wide sexual diversity among sea life. Boy, the comments are really coming in. For example, at one of the many presentations held during the exhibit, you can learn fun facts such as how a barnacle has a penis 8 times as long as its own body and an amazing ability not to brag about it all the time.
Aren't
I
turtles
thought
all
it was such a good decision for me not to pre-read this article. But that is just the tip of the iceberg.
cuttlefish?
But that is just the tip of the iceberg with regards to marine sexuality. Visitors can also learn about how these cuddly-looking zebra sharks actually like it rough. Bacal seals play hard to get, and I don't know what those catfish are doing in the bottom corner, but it looks downright nasty.
Oh my.
What is it like? It looks like Eurolangia or whatever they call it.
Pissing on its face.
Oh, God. I like how they have like this is they've got like little
AC, are you gonna make a shirt of this?
No, why would I make a shirt that they already sell? In addition to learning this, you can also share this information with everyone around you in the form of a t-shirt, masking tape, or the towel pictured above. All available from the gift shop. Jeez. How does Japan's economy stay afloat when they spend money on these frivolous little things, these little gag gifts that belong at like a Spencer's gift store, but because they're themed like a museum thing, it's just
A lot of these specialties that we're seeing here, they'll last for a while, but they typically will reach their peak. They stop, shut down. Then either the parent company will stop it, come up with another gimmick, and reopen in its place or somewhere similar, or see if this catches on, and if it just if it's able to catch the wave here and not crash, it'll last for a long time.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. The Lots of Sex exhibit also has peep booths set up for those voyeuristic types who like to spy on crabs while they're bumping uglies, presumably simulated and not live. There's also a hands-on exhibit that lets you feel up various sea creatures' genitals, such as those of a shark, also presumably simulated, but it's hard to say for sure.
Is that
I like how the female is just laughing as loud as possible in that picture.
Besides all this, the Lots of Sex exhibit is for lovers. Sections of the aquarium have tanks that are lit up in a romantic pink hue to set the mood for you and that special sea urchin in your life.
Ow.
Carefully selected sea creatures that resemble human reproductive organs will also be on display. Guys and gals, if you can't get your significant other into bed after they gaze upon these things, well, I don't know what's wrong with you.
So is AC going to take a quick trip to Japan?
If you guys fund my trip, I'll go to this exhibit.
Get that $3,000 worth of your time.
Hey, that's $3,000 just for the flight. I think a short notice flight is like $1,500. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if that's round trip or just there and back. I don't know.
Because that's $3,000 as much as it is for where I'm at. I'm kind of surprised it's not cheaper for you for how close you are to the coast there.
Yeah, that 1 inch across the ocean isn't gonna make much difference.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean. Because what would happen with you is you would spend like a low rate for the connecting flight, and then the more expensive thing is the actual flight to Japan. Anyway, and believe it or not, there is actually even more to the Lots of Sex exhibit than presented here. But to see it, you have to head over to Sunshine Aquarium before it closes on the 4th of November. It promises to be a lot sexier than their Deadly Poison exhibit of 2015. So unfortunately, that means that I wouldn't be able to combine my trips to be able to save money to go to both this and the Lupin premiere. Wow. Too good. Wow. What? Master Blaster knows how to write a captivating article. I'll just say that. All right, so now miscellaneous news. Augie, this one's all you. Supermarket throws away bench because of sales tax hike. Angers many.
It angers many because the consumption tax has risen from 8% to 10% while paying the extra stuff is never nice. I have to admit, I'm really enjoying the sudden decrease in 1 yen coins in my pocket as a result of the newly well-rounded percentage. Okay. So pretty much because of this 8% to 10%. There is, if you scroll down with Mr. Sato, apparently with Sora News 24, they follow this guy's antics as he lives his daily life across Japan.
Mr. Sato is one of their employees. He's one of their journalists or whatever. But yeah, I try to stay away from the articles where they like do their own antics around Japan, because they're not written as interestingly. They seem like they're padding. That's like when we did the one with the guy who cuts hair with swords, and it's like I went to Spain and whatever.
What kind of got what I thought would have been funny was because of a tax increase, they don't want people to. They got rid of. If I read this article correctly, they got rid of the benches, but also a rule while the benches was there is that no one should eat on the benches. And at that point, it's like you're resting. Why does that matter? Do you not have janitors for these facilities? Is it that much of a crime to sit down and eat?
I don't know. I didn't read the article. All right. So Naomi Osaka hits back at Japanese comedians too sunburned comment, which last time it was too tanned. They changed the translation here. So you guys remember these guys said that she needed bleach for being too tanned or too sunburned. So she fires back with the biggest cringe statement in my perspective here. Too sunburn? LOL, that's wild. Little did they know, with Shiseido Anessa perfect UV sunscreen, I never get sunburned.
Oh.
So
brand deal,
yeah.
Oh my made God. Money off that.
Now, I don't have anything against Naomi Osaka. I think she comes across like a very genuine, kind person, but wow, do I cringe at this? Although I will say, everybody apparently she's liked enough that nobody else seems to think that, like, shade and a perfect plug in one tweet, incredible. Like, everybody's. I'm not even gonna bother with this, but yeah, I just cringe. Also, do you think this might be a little much? The people have gotten so insane over this that they've gone to great lengths to connect the rising sun flag for the new Olympics. I mean, obsessed much? Is it really that big of a deal?
Apparently.
If it were me, because I'm so fucking stubborn, I would absolutely not capitulate because of this. I'd be like, we're going to put up twice as many flags now. Put them in the Korean section. Really egg them on. All right. So former NGT 48 Idols agents sue the assailants for 30 million yen.
Is this the follow-up to the crazy person who burned her face?
Or stabbed her?
Sure. This is another article from last podcast that I accidentally closed the tab on and forgot to share. So Maho Yamaguchi's agents are taking the two men who attacked her to court, demanding $30 million, almost $300,000 in damages. Talent agency AKS is arguing that the assault on Maho Yamaguchi has so far led to losses of 100 million yen due to disrupting planned tours and public appearances. The two defendants in the case have denied any wrongdoing or connection to criminal gangs, and one of them claims that he was an acquaintance of Yamaguchi. The defendant says that he bought 800,000 yen worth of handshake event tickets after she stopped replying to his messages, and also spoke to Yamaguchi at one such event, arranging to meet privately so he could give her a gift, which so he could give a gift to her, which was against NGT 48's rules. He later went with an accomplice to Yamaguchi's home, whereupon the assault is said to have taken place. After the incident, Maho Yamaguchi spoke about the alleged assault, with NGT 48's business soon being negatively affected. So, first of all, I mean, contrast this to KyoAni, right? They're suing the assailant for $300,000 because it negatively affected their business to not have their idol or whatever available or traumatized or whatever. I hope that money's going back to her. Anyway.
Let's hope so.
The god of manga, Osamu Tezuka, to return to work with new manga produced by artificial intelligence. Creator of Astro Boy has been deceased for 30 years. Osamu Tezuka, best known as the creator of Tetsuwan Atom or Astro Boy, is routinely called the, quote, god of manga. It's a title he earned not just doing his dynamic layouts and innovative art techniques, but through his tireless dedication to his craft. Tezuka made his manga debut at the age of 17, and his list of collected works now consists of hundreds of titles, from such iconic classes as Jungle Emperor / Kimba the White Lion, Phoenix, and Blackjack, to more obscure titles like Brave Dan, Hungry Blues, and Infant Development of ESP. But despite there being more Tezuka content out there than any one fan could reasonably be expected to ever read, Japanese tech firm Kioxia says it's currently helping to create, quote, a new Osamu Tezuka manga. Now, if you watch the trailer here, which is in Japanese, so I'm not even going to bother having you guys listen to it. They show Tezuka, and then they show like a machine drawing.
I mean, that's
shit! It's in the Crunchyroll article. They have a different one that uses. It's an American ad that's way longer, and there's a scene in it where you can see the machine like drawing Astro Boy for some reason. And it's not drawing it in the computer, which you'd think they would. It draws it on paper, right?
Right. That's what I thought.
I don't know why, but I got like the story of Paul Bunyan on the back of my mind here. Seeing a computer, like imagining a computer trying to.
You mean John Henry?
Yeah, John Henry. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, John Henry trying to beat the machine to lay down the tracks. Just vice versa this time. Seeing a machine trying to draw in a Tezuka style, and I guess I'd like to imagine a zombified Tezuka trying to beat it to the punch, or someone who studied his works enough to either replicate a style that's very true and similar to capture the spirit of what Tezuka would want to do. But I don't know how to feel about this. What do you think, AC?
I missed a comment here regarding the fish sex exhibit. First of all, gross. Second of all, that looks like Augie.
Which?
What article
I think he's
was that?
referring to that guy.
The guy on the bench?
Even
or
though
the guy
I do
at the
not
top?
have buck teeth, thank you very much.
No, I don't think he was talking about Mr. Sato. I think he was talking about hold on, I gotta reopen it. Hitler. No.
No.
There, I think he was talking about
I look like Hitler. Oh, geez.
Hold on. Oh, come on. There we go. What? What even was that? There we go. I think he was talking about the guy at the top here, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because you don't look anything like Mr. Sato. I don't know. That's a weird guy. Hey, he could be talking about one of the fish. I don't know when that comment came in. It was 3 minutes after the other one about the shark.
You look like that
Yeah,
fish,
let that one
Augie.
All right. Anyway.
What's next? How's next? Who's
Continuing
next?
here.
Next.
So, considering that Tezuka was born in 1928, you might be thinking that this is an ambitious undertaking for an artist of his age, referring to like the hundreds of titles, I guess. What makes the news of a new Tezuka manga even more surprising, though, is that he's been dead since 1989. Well, you guys really didn't structure this article in a way that presents that information properly. So how does Kioxia hope to produce a new Tezuka manga? The key lies in the company's name, which comes from the Japanese word kyoku, or memory. Until recently, Kioxia was called Toshiba Memory, and the organization specializes in high-speed, high-capacity data storage. By digitizing Tezuka's works and analyzing them, Kioxia hopes to determine the key elements of his artistic style, then apply that knowledge to AI technology, which will draw an answer to the question, if Osamu Tezuka were alive today, what kind of manga would he draw? The concept is probably some moe shit. The concept sounds similar to what we've seen with inputting a vast number of anime-style illustrations into generative adversarial networks and having them create new characters. Once they've identified the baseline aesthetics and viable variations. Sorry, what? Sorry, go ahead.
I'm probably thinking of the question too hard, but Tezuka wouldn't draw or be working on just one particular genre. Knowing him, he would like group a whole bunch of different genre ideas, whittle down to one as he pre-drafts the other, and continues to produce that one while trying to schedule another one that he can start production on. But that would be tough on which one he would do. More likely a mystery, knowing him and some of his other works.
Well, let's see what Kioxia comes up with when the time comes. So the concept sounds similar to what we've seen with inputting a vast number of anime-style illustrations into generative adversarial networks and having them create new characters once they've identified baseline aesthetics and viable variations. However, unlike previous projects which used artwork from a large number of artists, all of Kioxia's inputs will come from Tezuka alone. It's something that's only possible with an artist with such a huge body of work as Tezuka has, and the results, ideally, should be less of an amelioration of current trends across the anime/manga world, but statistically valid illustrations that Tezuka might have drawn were he still alive. Kioxia is remaining quiet on specifics and hasn't revealed whether the project's goal is simply a collection of unrelated artwork or a series of connected pictures that seek to tell a story. The company also hasn't mentioned if there will be any dialogue in addition to handling art. There won't be any hasn't mentioned if there will be any dialogue. In addition to handling art, Tezuka also was the writer for his comics. Or if the AI inputs will include Tezuka's erotic mouse lady pictures. Gross. So we'll have to wait until Kioxia's new Tezuka manga is finished and shown to the public, which is scheduled to happen in February. Tezuka was the first person to create anime. The first anime was based on a Tezuka work, and I believe also the first hentai, from what I hear.
Two things. Wasn't
Cleopatra?
Oh, is that the one that's called Momotaro? The one from 1928 that Funimation licensed?
No, the first anime was Astro Boy, right?
Anime as we know it.
As we know it, quote.
As we know it.
Here, I'll link you to the one.
That Astro Boy is the first serialized animated series, I think. The other stuff was like movies and like the little talkies or whatever they put at the beginning of theater screenings and what like they did.
There's one that I am sending.
He did the first manga, I think. Maybe that's what it was. The first manga as well as the first hentai. Anyway,
He almost
So
had his first
Otakusa
OCA, but
confirmed it was the bench guy. And Imperial Officer 07 says
All right.
either the Japanese are really bored or really horny. I can't blame them either way. I mean, they're not copulating with each other, so yeah, they're probably really frustrated.
Oh god.
All right. So,
so are you?
what?
Oh, not Otaku. So sorry, Otaku. So FDDNM, are you saying that you want to watch this for Watch Club? The
No, I'm saying that
Momotaro and the
Funimation licensed this and labeled
And
it as
claimed
the
it was
first
the first-
anime.
Yeah.
And they have it on Blu-ray, right?
Right.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
interested
it's
to
like
see a
a
black and white
DVD
HD.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to continuing here. God damn it. There we go. Captured Tokyo panty thief denies having any interest in bras.
Well,
All right, man.
that sounds
take it
kind of
easy,
like the
Otaku.
Rurouni Kenshin thing where he's like, yeah, I'm into like early middle schoolers or whatever it is. It's like you're caught and you're just like giving this absurd information.
I think it's a better correlation is that interview that Lance Armstrong gave with Oprah or whatever, where God, what was that thing he said? You said these nasty things about this woman or whatever. He's like, but I never called her fat, right?
Oh my god.
that was from that, right? The Lance Armstrong thing. Do you guys remember that?
Imagining like the last words of inmates who are about to be put on death row, and this one person's last words was, "I demanded SpaghettiOs, but got spaghetti instead."
What was his last words?
He demanded SpaghettiOs.
Demanded SpaghettiOs.
Yeah.
But got,
He demanded SpaghettiOs, but got spaghetti instead.
That's a there's like all these tricks you can do to try to get out of what's it called, your execution. One of them is last rites, right? And the other one that they sometimes do is provoking a fight in order to get you legally in New York, at least, can't be put to death unless you're in good health. So if you get
that sounds really weird,
right? So if, they did an episode of Law and Order on it where one of the characters attacked the BD Wong plays the coroner or whatever, like the guy who does the autopsies. He gets attacked and Stabler, like, to get him off, beats him up, like to get him off of the guy he's attacking. And in doing so, it prevents him from being able to be executed or whatever. I mean, it just delays the inevitable, but anyway. So captured Tokyo panty thief denies having any interest in bras. I'm interested in women's butts, he says. On September 5th, Tokyo Metropolitan Police officers arrested 35-year-old Yuki Endo, who had broken into an apartment in the capital's Machida district. According to investigators, Endo had infiltrated the home in order to steal panties after previously stealing 2 pairs of panties that were hanging to dry outside a separate first-floor apartment in the area. Realizing that Endo had a particularly strong desire to acquire women's lower half undergarments, officers searched his home and discovered 78 pairs of pilfered panties. In giving his official statement, Endo told investigators, "I did it for sexual satisfaction and thrills."
Wow.
While also showing that he's pretty into the part of the body which panties are meant to be worn over by adding, "By the way, I'm into women's butts." But while Endo is fessing up to filching a veritable mountain of panties, he made it absolutely clear that he has never had any criminal intent regarding the other half of a full set of lingerie, explaining, "I only stole panties. I have no interest in bras." I just picture, what was the Gakuto? I have no interest for bras, like putting the glasses up in prison school.
Well, I was going to bring that up. If there's anything I learned from prison school is no ass man can be a bad person.
All right, so continuing here.
He must be innocent.
Oddly enough, no reports mention officers finding any bras during their search of his home. In other words, Endo's denial of interest in bras seems to stem not from any desire to mitigate the severity of the charges he's facing, but simply because he really, really wants the police to know exactly where his preferences lie. It's unclear why Endo wanted them to know that, but his stark division of interest is now a matter of official record.
Oh my god.
Let the record show I like butts.
So when he said, "I like dem titties," though, it was a lie.
Oh, God. It's unclear why Endo wanted them to know that, but his stark division of interest is now a matter of official record, which will perhaps be of some sort of warped comfort for him, to him during his likely string of upcoming slam dunk convictions for panty theft. It's not what you think. I'm holding it for someone. I'm a butt person, so I can't be a bad guy. Oh, all right. Couple more here. Police officer arrested for repeatedly clogging women's toilets, watching them get upset about it.
Police officer arrested.
A story from the other side of the legal system here. Suspect claims an interest in women's restrooms drove him to commit the crime spree. A 3-month reign of creepiness came to an end in the city of Fukuoka on the 29th of September with the arrest of Sergeant Takashi Atsushi. He's a sergeant. He's like the lead guy in the squad of the Fukuoka Prefectural Police. The suspect currently faces charges of burglary. A fun fact about the crime of burglary is that while we often associate it with stealing something, the legal definition often includes other crimes committed during unlawful entry as well. For example, going into a woman's restroom without permission and then clogging a toilet to the point that it is unusable can fall under the legal definition of burglary.
Whoa. Without permission? Are you saying you can go in there if you get permission?
Well, yeah, if you're a janitor.
I mean, the way they phrase this almost sounds like he's going into their house, but yeah, so that's just what Atsushi had allegedly been doing. I mean, the question is, if you intentionally clogged a man's toilet, like the men's room, and you're also a guy, can you be brought up on burglary charges? So that's just what Atsushi had allegedly been doing at a Lawson convenience store in the Hirao area of the city's Chuo ward since July of this year. Guy's been busy, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Staff at the store cited 6 different incidents of the ladies' room toilet getting clogged, 2 of which required professional plumbers to fix. What? What are you putting down there? It's like well, here's my gun, my badge.
He probably knows how to wrap toilet paper in such a good way.
Like toilet paper, dastardly toilet paper origami designed to. The investigation revealed that toilet paper had been used to cause the clogs, and each time the same suspicious-looking man was witnessed lurking around the restrooms. Also, when women came out complaining that the toilet was stopped up, the same man could be seen leering into the store from the parking lot outside. I just picture this guy.
He was setting himself.
I just picture this guy like standing there looking through like the O in Lawson, like right through, just his little face out there. Pervy smile. I think of that scene in 20
like Creepy
later
Richard
when the infected guy is right outside the window. It is unclear if the suspect was aware that such a scenario is easily found on any number of stock photo websites. Oh. Okay, it happened enough times for staff to remember the man's appearance and license plate number. So when he returned at 9:40 a.m. on the 27th of September and ducked into the women's restroom, they immediately called the police to sweep in and make the arrest. It was then that the suspect was discovered to be a police sergeant with the Community Safety Division. According to police, the 47-year-old police officer admitted to the charges, saying, "I was interested in women's toilets. I wanted to go in and see."
So he's Golden Boy as well.
It was it was bizarre enough of an exploit that it shocked a group of netizens who have already been desensitized by years of odd perversions. A guy who wants to watch women get upset because they can't use the toilet is extremely gross. Clogging up toilets on purpose is just wrong too. This guy is the worst of the worst. People get labeled perf so often that it's really surprising to see the real deal. Now I'm going to be extra concerned when I encounter a clogged public toilet. How does one possibly get off on seeing a woman upset because she can't use the toilet? I mean, it must be a power thing, I guess. The last question certainly is a doozy, and a psychologist could probably write an entire book about the answer. However, something equally perplexing is why he chose that one particular loss and convenience store to commit his crimes, especially since it was that very idiosyncrasy that led to his undoing. Meanwhile, the Fukuoka Prefectural Police have issued an apology. We deeply apologize to everyone in the prefecture for the inappropriate behavior by one of our officers. They are currently investigating and considering terminating the officer's employment. What if he wasn't just doing it at the same Lawson? Maybe he was doing it all over town, and this particular Lawson just happened to be the one that like caught him.
Could be.
Huh.
And so, thanks to the keen detective work by convenience store clerks, another police officer is safely behind bars.
Oh my god.
As Japan stands on the cusp of unmanned convenience stores, we should perhaps take a moment to consider what such a future might mean for our public toilets with their valuable first line defense. without their valuable first line defense. Oh, that's too good. All right, we got two more here. Chinese populace must submit to facial recognition for internet access.
Ew.
I told you guys this is coming. Internet ID cards. China is steadily growing towards its dream of achieving a dystopia as the country has now required that citizens pass a facial recognition test in order to access the internet at home or via phone so that authorities can confirm their identities. Great proofreading there, Rift. The regulation, set to go in effect December 1st, is supposedly yet another facet of China's terrifying Orwellian social credit system. Applying for internet or phone services in China currently requires the individual to present their ID card. Ownership of the ID card will be verified via the aforementioned facial recognition test. China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology gave the directive for this facial recognition requirement, explaining that they believe such a thing will, quote, improve the country's internet security and combat terrorism. The government is set on installing as many as 626 million surveillance cameras in China come 2020, all in an effort to monitor every action of citizens and judge them for doing things based on whether or not the government find it agreeable. One Chinese city, Chongqing, is well on its way toward being fully equipped as the location already possesses 2.5 million street cameras. Considering the current rioting in the country, some may wonder if citizens will decide to rise up again to put a stop to this manipulative and all-controlling social credit system. So the thing about this is that obviously without anonymity on the internet, people would be a lot better behaved. So things would improve in the short term, but the abuse of this system would get so freaking ridiculous by government agencies and whatnot, especially with the social credit thing, because the thing here is this is an attempt to stamp out dissenting opinions, because you can't promote ideas the government doesn't like on the internet without them lowering your credit score to the point where you can't eat anymore. Right. So obviously a bad deal, and we should oppose it when they inevitably create some bullshit to try to push us in the United States as well. And the last topic of the night, research paper, sex robots should be able to consent.
What?
Oh.
A supposed research paper has tried to reason that granting sex robots with the ability to consent will prove beneficial to mankind by instilling evil cis-white males with virtue ethics.
Is that cis stuff again?
Cis is a made-up word that means you're straight.
No, it means you identify with your.
You're right.
Was it your
biological sex?
Yes.
It means that you identify. It means you're straight. That's literally what it means. You identify as.
No. I thought it was a thing. If I'm a girl, it means I'm not cis.
No,
but if you say I'm male and I was born male, then I'm cis. Is that not what it is? Cisgendered?
Isn't it
cisgendered?
Isn't it identify as your biological sex and are attracted to the opposite biological sex? Isn't that the full definition?
I don't know how to spell it, so I
CIS. Urban Dictionary, here we come.
Are you looking it up?
Okay. Where you started
Not
from.
that I can type a B.
Isn't that bad?
What? You don't need B, you just need CIS. All
In
three
Urban
keys.
Dictionary, I do. I can't type the N either. Dang it. Hold on.
What? Just type
I'm typing it with M's. It'll autocorrect.
CIS.
I'm typing it into. I have to get to the URL first. Cis, short for cisgender. Opposite of transgender, used to describe someone whose gender identity matches their anatomical gender at birth. So you're right. It isn't specifically
like who they're interested in.
See, but the thing is, yeah, you're right. Okay, so
sourcing Urban Dictionary as fact.
Yeah, but still, no. I the way I'm like interpreting it in my head in ways it keeps going back and forth in my mind as to whether or not it can apply properly. Because, so here's why I still feel like it applies, because being cis literally means you're not LGBT, right? And LGBT stands for lesbian, gay, bi, transsexual, and Q, queer, and two-spirit and all that bullshit they're adding. So I would imagine it literally means straight in that regard. In the whatever, forget it. It's so unimportant. Yeah. Getting back to the article here, because the charged language of Sankaku Complex decided to throw the word cis in there to throw some shade at the SJW types. So a supposed research paper has tried to reason that granting sex robots with the ability to consent will prove beneficial to mankind by instilling evil cis white males with virtue ethics, whilst also avoiding the, quote, normalization of non-consensual sex. Feminists and outrage cultivators have continued to demand human rights for inanimate objects, as a supposed research paper has discussed the potential merits of giving sex robots the sentience to reject the sexual advances of their partners, stripping the mentally ill of their outlets, and effectively increasing the possibility of crime. One way of this is a quote from the research paper. One way of preventing unwanted behavioral patterns is by providing sex robots with a module that can initiate a consent scenario, like consenting humans. So I'm curious, when they say that they want to make them consent, do they mean that they just want to have it say, yeah, let's do it, baby, or something like that? Okay. Or do they actually want to create a scenario where it tells you, no, not right now, I'm tired, or something like that, right? Because if the consent chip or whatever they're going to put in there is literally just the sex robot agreeing ahead of time to try to train whoever's using their sex robot that if they have an actual intercourse with a real person, that they need to get that okay first, rather than just have the sex robot say, that would just be the funniest thing, especially if it's like a firmware upgrade and like they hack into it and they just tell all the robots to deny the partner. They're perpetually set in denial mode or whatever. They can initiate consent scenario. Like consenting humans, a robot and its human partner will have to communicate carefully about the kind of interaction that will take place, and the human will be confronted by the subject, by the subject-like appearance and the behavior of the robot. And like in a relationship between humans, this communication could potentially result in the robot sometimes not consenting, and terminating the interaction. Such interactions with the robot might prevent the practice of unidirectional behavioral habits and a resulting increased objectification of other humans. Oh, man.
Pretty much what you said earlier is my thoughts exactly.
Says, oh God, getting rejected by a robot is worse than a person. It's literally like, I bought you. Seriously though, it's gonna be like, I just imagine that scene in the extended cut of Terminator 2 where Linda Hamilton is opening up the T-800's head and pulling out the chip. There's going to be like, people are going to go into their sex robot and remove the consent chip.
It's not modification, it's plastic surgery.
Maybe them saying no is their kink so that they can make a rape scenario of it.
I was going to bring that up, that people who, this is going to be a desired upgrade for people with rape fantasies or whatever. Oh man.
Yeah.
So where was I? Like in a relationship between humans, this communication could potentially result in the robot sometimes not consenting and terminating the interaction. Such interactions with the robot might prevent the practice of unidirectional. I already read all this. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. The writer at times seems quite convinced that man-made sex robots are on the same level as humans, as they constantly suggest to see things from the perspective of the robot, while pushing that people would transfer their view and tendencies with robots to actual human beings. If you're having sex with a sex robot, you're not having sex with humans. I mean, can we be real here? I saw like a one of those like news slow news day stories or something where they freaking hell, I can't solo myself.
It's masturbation with style.
It's expensive. I can't solo my layout. I think my mouse might be dying or something. No, the mouse movement's fine. Anyway, all right. So I saw this thing where this guy there was a girl who, it was like they were documenting a guy who owned one of those real dolls or whatever, and the girl had to like he would like eat at the dinner table with the doll. Like he would make dinner for both of them. Weird stuff. That's one guy who might be getting action from a real person. Nobody else. That's because the girl he was dating had such low self-esteem that she was dating him even in spite of his weird kinks. But nobody else is actually dating real humans as well. Such tired arguments are similar to that of being convinced that violent video games will turn people into actual murderers, or that the Joker movie, all that bullshit, that sure didn't manifest into anything. Various quotes from the paper for those who are with the fortitude to brave such mental assault. All right, so we're going to go through this real quick. So here's the paper here, or a portion of it. 2 potential points of critique need to be addressed before moving on. The first critique has been voiced by robot ethicist Robert Sparrow, who argues that sex robots could encourage vicious behavior, while at the same time maintaining that he finds it hard to imagine sex robots could promote virtue. He proposes that if people own sex robots, they can live out whatever fantasies they have on the robots, except for, having sex with a real person. That fantasy's not going to come through. Or like having a kid, right? Whatever fantasies they have on the robots, even rape. Although grossly, they probably sell pregnant sex robots, or like whatever. But he argues that repeated fantasizing and repeated exercise of potential representations of rape will influence one's character to become more vicious. I really don't think so. See, this is the thing. There's a major difference for people who have a rape kink. There's a major difference between a machine that like the mouth doesn't even move and it's just like, no, don't, no, stop, right? Versus somebody actually fighting back and like trying to defend themselves and hitting you and whatnot. There's got to be such a significant difference there that until a sex robot is actually beating you up in retaliation, like an android from Dragon Ball, right? Like
Brad sex robot coming soon to the merch store.
It's sell Dakimakura's of me with that like voice box. No, don't, please.
I would
I
love
have a
something that has
family.
that exact robotic tone. No.
It like glitches out like stop. All right. So he argues that repeated fantasizing and repeated exercise of potential representations of rape will influence one's character to become more vicious. Though we agree with Sparrow's premise that this development is problematic and deserves careful consideration, we disagree with the conclusion drawn. While rape representation might be facilitated by sex robots, this does not mean that the production of such robots need always be ethically inimical. Whatever that's supposed to mean.
Nickel. Ethnical?
Obstruct or harm.
No, what does that mean?
Unfriendly and
What
hostile.
does that say?
I'm reading it. Are you not hearing?
Okay. Well,
Tending to obstruct or harm.
I can hear you. I just can't read it because it's like a kid.
All right, then. Let us assume that rape play between two consenting adults is not necessarily morally wrong. What is potentially morally wrong is acting out this scenario. What is potentially morally wrong is acting out the scenario. In acting out this scenario, is that it might normalize the associated repeated behavior outside of consensual context. Okay.
You know what they're normalizing? Banging a doll.
Yeah.
Not an actual
Says,
human.
imagine it. What's worse, getting rejected or getting your ass kicked by the robot? So the thing here is that this is going back to the thought crime. Like, this is people who have so little to do that they take their like government grant money to solve problems that don't exist, and to pontificate over actions you might take that theoretically could happen versus dealing with actual problems when they occur. Oh, we got to prevent rape rather than acknowledging that in almost all likelihood, nobody who is raping a sex robot is actually raping a real person. All right, continuing here. So the cultivation of a vice, right? So there's okay. So what they're getting at here. This is perhaps a. This is perhaps the one area. This is actually kind of funny because this could actually backfire on them in regards to putting in the chip of non-consent or whatever. Is that they're kind of saying that the danger here is the development of a fetish for rape through your sex robot. But the thing is that you wouldn't develop, because the idea is that when you develop a fetish for something, it gets to the point where it's so severe that a person literally can't get off without the aspect of their fetish being engaged, right? So if a person becomes sexually aroused by rape through raping
the doll,
their sex robot,
then the
right,
doll will do it.
That they no longer can get off with normal vanilla stuff with an actual person, and that they would have to at the
go
very
back
least,
to the doll.
No, they would have to at the very least go into rape play.
I can imagine him going to try and rape a real person. He's like, "This isn't. No, I need the doll."
Can you, if you're going to yell and scream, could you stop moving your lips so much? It's taking me out of this fantasy. No, you can't hit me. No. The doll doesn't hit. All right. So this could lead to unwanted degrading behavior or generalization to other contexts involving human-human interaction. The same risk of inappropriate generalization applies to scenarios of the human-robot interaction. A second issue that needs addressing is a more general critique against virtue ethics. It has been argued that virtue ethics as an ethical theory is elitist and overly demanding, and consequently, it is claimed that the virtuous life plausibly could prove unattainable. Okay, that's a bit of a word salad there, just to say that it's hard to be good. Why propose such a demanding ethical theory for framing human-robot interaction? First, because virtue ethics can do justice to an assumption we make, namely that intimate sexual relations between humans and robots should be understood as bidirectional. In this context, bidirectional means that humans design robots, while the general availability of such robots in turn may influence human practice of and ideas on intimacy and love. In contrast, current ways of thinking about intimate human-robot relations often depart from an instrumental and unidirectional assumption. Such rival accounts understand these relations as the usage of tools by humans and see any influence that robots may have on humans as value neutral. They're focused on the human perspective and therefore lose sight of important potential ethical implications of human-robot interaction, as we will argue in Section 2 and as illustrated on Table 1. Oh, geez. So Table 1's not included here, but on several occasions, Levy compares sex with the robot to masturbation and uses that comparison as a reason why robot sex would prevent cheating on one's partner. I mean...
Technically, it's a form of cheating, but I mean...
Yeah, I mean, would you be okay with your sexual partner getting off on a love doll sex robot rather than spending their time with you? Like in the
well, if they get a headache. You know.
Okay, well, they go on to say, like in the case of a soldiers on a long-term mission. I mean, are you bringing the sex robot to Afghanistan with you? Oh, man. I'm not going to make that joke. That's too offensive.
Too offensive or too real?
I was thinking about my brain leaped several steps to if you brought a sex robot with you to another country, particularly a Muslim country like Afghanistan or any of the Middle Eastern countries, what would be the problem there of selling your sex robot to the local populace, and what god awful fatwa would be put on your head for doing such a thing? And then I went to the stereotype of the goat fucking and thought about, is there a market for goat sex robots? Can you imagine? Can you imagine making billions of dollars off of the goat sex robot industry?
Wouldn't that be popular for the Irish crowd?
Do the Irish do that? I mean, hey, expand to any market that'll
what's the difference between a goat and a sheep?
I've never banged either. Sorry, I dropped the water bottle.
I've
never banged either, so I don't think I'm qualified.
This conversation getting really bad.
All right, so where was I? Moreover, Levy describes this perspective on sex as a kind of consumption. It is for this reason that we characterize accounts such as Levy's as instrumentalist. Love and sex robots, on such accounts, are merely tools to be used or products to be consumed. However, we suggest that such an instrumentalist perspective could lead to practices that provide cause for concern. Also, we are not convinced that a purely instrumentalist use of sex robots would make many people better balanced human beings. You know what? It is not for you to decide whether or not people are balanced. No matter how much I agree with that statement. A first concern is that framing robot sex as consumption underestimates the potential impact the acceptation of love and sex robots will have on the way love and sex are perceived. Consider a world where your robot will arrive from the factory with these parameters set as you specified, but it will always be possible to ask for more for more ardor, more passion,
more harder,
enthusiasm or passion. Is it really that hard to just say it means enthusiasm or passion? You just want to use a fucking fancy word here and then use the actual synonym.
Chuck Huber had a hand in this article.
Ask for more ardor, more passion, or less. I mean, okay. I guess some people are into that. According to your mood and energy level, at some point, it will not even be necessary. It will not even be necessary to ask because your robot will, through its relationship with you, have learned to read your moods and desires and act accordingly. I'm looking so forward to the culling of the population for every person who decides that they'd rather be intimate with a robot and therefore their lineage just dies out.
You want to make people into medicine?
What?
Continue.
Why would people, when such partners are available, be content with any kind of relationship, emotional or sexual, that would not adhere to this standard of perfection? Access to these robots would make it tempting to view relationships as essentially one-directional, need catering, and effortless, especially perhaps for adolescents who grow up with such access. I mean, if you're an adolescent who can afford their own sex robot, maybe you don't need other people. This is not how love and sex at present needs to be, or even generally is conceived, and it goes deeply against the conception of a relationship as existing between two or more equal persons. Seeing humanoid robots capable of emotional and sexual interaction as tools is like being in a relationship with a slave. Duh. There lies an important question at the core of this issue, specifically on whether there are ways of considering the relationship between humans and robots that are not slave-like. And you can read the entire paper online, but I'm not going to. Hey, Jalen Harris is in the chat. How you doing, man?
Welcome.
So this is the reason why this is actually concerning in the long run is because human beings have evolved over centuries to pair bond. And men are genetically stronger, more driven, and risk takers, and we're good at resource gathering.
Genetics are so sexist.
Say what?
What?
Genetics are so sexist.
Genetics are sexist. Yeah, biology is sexist, or whatever. And women are the progenitors of reproduction. So the species lives on through the gestation of the baby and the nurturing and breastfeeding and all these things. So the main concern that people should have over this is, largely it's going to affect women more than anything, because when society adopts sex robots on a grand scale like this, like they're sort of theorizing here, there will be significant less need for human women, especially with Me Too and all these other things, losing half your stuff in a divorce, because the deck is stacked in the favor of women, which is road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? And so these are precautions taken early on to ensure better treatment of your spouse, all these things so that you won't have a reason to get divorced. All these things are designed to favor the female in the relationship. But as this progresses, there's going to be a significant lack of pair bonding going on, which is going to result in more collectivist control ideology of joining together to leverage over the class of people who are productive. In this scenario will be the resource gathering male population versus the frigid can't get with anybody because of perfect sex robots, females who don't know what to do because they're incapable of resource gathering on the same scale because biology is sexist. Am I right or am I right? You guys have anything you want to add?
Nope.
All right. So shall we jump into Perfect Blue? Here's
Perfect
my signed copy. Let's jump into.
Wait, who's it signed by?
It's signed by the producer Hiroaki Inoue.
Okay.
I'll just real quick. There you go.
While the shout disc looked like, as Professor Who describes as a shout disc, It was infinitely better quality than the manga release, which is window boxed, as you call it.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually know what to expect, really, because everyone said, "Oh, it's mind bending, blah blah blah, psychological."
This is your first time watching it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I really think this seems out of place for an like quote horror anime movie, as I expected.
It's a psychological thriller, yeah,
not horror at all though. But let's see. Initially, I was thinking, do I really care about any of this? Because it's all like this. Oh, she's a singer. No, she's an actor now. Blah blah blah, and whatever. And then it's like, oh, there's a creepy stalker with horse eyes, and well, he kind of just looked like a horse in general. And I was slowly thinking, okay, so it's a stalker thing situation, and she's going insane. I'll say real quick, it was interesting the way they designed the stalker guy. I say horse eyes because herbivores are prey, and they have eyes on both sides of their head to get a better field of view, whereas predators have them on our faces, like us. We're predators.
Yeah. Well, predators have them. Prey animals have them for evasion. Predators have them for targeting.
But yes, so he was prey. I thought that was a hideous design choice, but anyway.
Yeah.
Technically,
also, real quick. So as I was talking about the Joker movie, right, and the whole like incels are gonna like massively wipe out everybody who goes to the movies or whatever. I thought it was kind of funny that while that controversy or non-controversy really is going on, that we're watching this movie where like it kind of focuses on an incel guy that was obsessed with her, right?
Yeah. What was the lady who went crazy at the end?
Ruby?
Yeah. You could tell. Okay, so she had horse eyes too. So you could spoil the movie for yourself by saying horse eyes are the bad eyes. That was really out of nowhere at the end. I almost thought, like, I don't think they mentioned anything, but I was thinking, was she like his mother, and she was the one that was like hooking him up with all the information and stuff?
That's actually a really clever idea, actually. Because she's also like insane. Okay, I was gonna say, Augie, Augie's disconnected. He was frozen. I was trying to jump in for a minute to verbalize that in case he doesn't know. But real quick, I wanted to point out that Mima's Room is an actual website that a fan made based on how it looked. I love this. It's got like a visitor count and everything.
I can't help but finding it creepy because of the context.
You're back, Augie. Yeah. But anyway, they had stuff on here like Perfect Blue now out on Blu-ray, right order now. So they actually recreated the posts and stuff.
Well,
from the movie.
That's pretty nice, even though it's creepy.
Come on.
And also, this is obviously why the podcast. We can hear you, dude. You sound good.
Hey. Oh, crap. Well,
so we. This is why we named the episode for the podcast. What are we, 73 right now? Yeah, podcast 73, what we did.
Feels like
anyway,
feels like it.
All right, so let's get back to what we were talking about. So here's something I wanted to say about it. So I think that's a great point, what you brought up about about Rumi having that sort of look to her, maybe perhaps even being the mother of this guy. That was an interesting thing I didn't consider. So here's the thing, though. Regarding Perfect Blue, I think that this is a masterpiece of a movie in terms of what it did in the time it did it. But the problem is because there's a lot of storytelling that happens both in the movie she's acting in that's correlating back to what's going on in her actual life. It's a very interesting way of telling a story. But the problem is that since this paved the way of doing stories in a more nonlinear, expressive fashion like that, other things have done it since then, to the point where going back and rewatching this doesn't captivate you the same way, right? And so the other thing that I kind of picked up on when I was watching it is that I feel like this movie literally opens with a live, I mean, it's animated, but it's meant to be a live performance of like a Power Rangers type thing, right?
Yes.
And to me, the movie is basically showing you that, or what it was meant to do, because they have, Japan has this obsession with idols, right?
Yeah.
And the idols are innocent. They don't date. They're girl next door status. They're cutie or whatever. And then they present those idols as, oh man, I need a drink. You can drink after the show, right? So what they're trying to do is subvert and inject the harsh reality
Right
or
away.
the gritty stuff into the unsophisticated black and white good versus evil perception of that culture at that time, right? So that's again why I think they started specifically with the Power Ranger type thing at the beginning, right? Here's the thing: for its time, that was edgy and that was like bold and whatever, but that sort of cycled around to the point where I think we have gotten such a taste of real life in our entertainment to the point where it's now so uncomfortable that we just sort of want to go back and experience mindless entertainment again. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Sort of.
Like,
But,
I think there's sort of been a resurgence of that. So I felt like when I was watching it, that it was convoluted. This is like my second or third time watching it. I felt like it was more convoluted and like it's, again, for its time, it was really it tried new things. It was real experimental and groundbreaking. But watching it again, I felt like a lot of the things that they did were just kind of annoying for a person trying to actually perceive the story, you know? So
dude, if you listen, like I sampled the commentary, the interview with the one who did frickin' I'm thinking of the Bebop actor, is it Faye Valentine? Whatever her name was.
Is that Wendy Lee?
Yes. Okay. She had a brief interview or whatever, and I like just watched the first couple seconds. And it's like I knew that this story was gonna have Rumi betraying her and stuff like that. I'm paraphrasing, but Augie dropped out again.
Augie's gone.
F
in the chat for Augie.
Yeah. So paraphrasing once again, like essentially, yeah, I knew that Rumi had all these intentions wherever, and when she was wanted to be an idol in her career and stuff, and how blah blah blah. And I'm just saying here, like, I didn't see any of that happening. Like, it just felt like it came out of nowhere at the end, unless I was really missing the hints.
So one of the things that this movie does really well, and I'll be honest with you guys, as if you can't tell, I've not been on top of the Watch Club as much as I should be, because I have spent every waking moment that I have an opportunity to work on something for myself trying to get the Dragon Ball Super Broly first impression video done. And it's taken a lot of time. It's coming out really good. And I found clips that I didn't even know Dragon Ball had that perfectly fit everything we talked about, to the point where it's literally funny as you watch it. Like, how did you even find that clip is what you're going to be thinking. But I wish I had the full week of being able to digest the film and properly give you guys what you need. But there's a lot of color theory being used in this movie. The color red is very important. There's all sorts of stuff that are symbolic in this movie that would really have benefited to go to the trouble of getting screenshots and putting a whole Twitter thread up, but I didn't do that this week. I'm sorry for that. I'm sure there are a lot of breakdowns on YouTube you can watch. But
while I have it on my mind, one sec. Pulling up the information.
Augie says the stream is messing up on his end. If you can hear me, try restarting your computer or internet or something.
Okay, the official nip count is 6, which is actually pretty big for a feature. I don't think I've seen that many.
Yeah. I mean, and then there was like the V count almost.
of 1 or 2 or something.
Yeah, okay, so this is the unrated director's cut. There is an R-rated version of this that was only released on VHS. I wonder if they just cut out the pubic hair shots, and that's what the only difference is.
I don't know, man, but that's like some of the most graphic. I'm not going to call it fan service necessarily. Stuff I've seen in anime regarding nudity.
Yeah, and it's actually, I'm a little bit surprised that we haven't seen more of that. Because
considering that came out in 1998 or whatever.
Well, I mean, because I think that it's off-putting when you see it, right?
It's really jarring for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that it was used to jar you when you're sitting in the theater, and really like such detailed depictions of.
Maybe it's because it gives you such a more hard-hitting reality hit of the depth of all the pictures guy was taking. But the thing is, I couldn't even confirm if he was taking the pictures, because kind of like Marnie was there. I didn't know if that was just a dream she was having, or if he actually took the pictures, or if it was in the show. Yeah. But judging by the fact she stabbed him, he might have taken the pictures. But the thing is, if it was all in her head, then she just murdered a guy. But I can't even tell if
you don't even know if she actually was the one who murdered him, because she wakes up and then finds clothes later and they're bloody.
I think that's my biggest problem with this.
Right.
This movie.
It's disjointing narratively to not be able to follow what's going on.
I feel like people
it's
thought
to be abstract and
right, that people were probably gonna think the symbolism, actually, yeah, that's all I had. The symbolism, the psychological aspect, it's all so complex and blah blah. But I mean, if there are people like that, I definitely don't see that. No, it just seems like a giant clutter fest to me. Like there were some ideas that I thought, like when they were saying it's all in her head and she killed them because she was raped at a strip club and stuff, but that was part of the movie. I was thinking that would have actually been a really interesting plot if she was actually the murderer and everything. And this whole time we saw it through the lens of, oh, I'm an actress or whatever.
There's also a live action movie adaptation of this, because this is based on a light novel, actually, I believe. There's also a live action movie adapted from that. And I didn't have time, obviously, because I literally found out about it while trying to get the link stuff for this last week. But that would have been an interesting way to watch it, to see that as well and see where that goes. Because I think that one tries to, you can't, like, for instance, when the pizza guy delivers the pizzas and it turns out to be her when she stabs him in the eye with the ice pick and everything, right? You can't know easily, like, because it's drawn intentionally to be ambiguous, that it's her until they've revealed it's her. But if you do that in live action, you just can't get away with those same things. So I feel like they would have had to go a lot more. They would have had to go a lot more deliberate with the storytelling. So that's why I'm saying it might be interesting to see how they adapted it. But the reviews I saw didn't seem to give it good marks.
I find it interesting that they use, maybe, I guess you could call it one of the climaxes of the movie as the cover. That whole stabbing thing, because I've seen that clip before, and then it's like, okay, that's like as big as it gets.
For the manga one, you mean? Because I think, what's the? Do you have the Blu-ray with you right now?
That's her just like kind of sitting like this, not her hands up. She's just like.
Is that the one with the puzzle pieces?
Maybe. I don't particularly remember the pieces. I just remember that there's this blue lighting and she's laying on her in her bed or some shit. But oh yeah, by the way, perfect blue. Let me guess. Perfect as in stalker guy sees her as perfect and she's the blue or something.
So some people think that the title comes from, here's the Here's the image I'm talking about.
When I heard Perfect Blue for the first time, I thought of it as like Gyo Shark Attack for some reason. Like that would be because the blue is like the ocean or something.
Yeah, well, here's the puzzle pieces thing I was talking about.
No, it's not that one.
It's not that one. Okay. So the thing about the blue, from what I've heard people say, they talk about how the when she comes out of the psychological disfigurement or whatever, where she doesn't know where, like, what's real and whatever, that's the first time that the sky's ever clear.
Oh.
So some people speculate that Perfect Blue is referring to the clarity that comes with the clear blue sky. I don't know. I'd have to read the light novel.
So I think the premise of her going insane over just some stalker paranoia seems like a bit of a stretch. Obviously, that person would have to be pretty mentally unstable to begin with, but you see at the end, she's fine, I guess you could say. But, I'm at the top this time. And the conclusion, I'll give them
do you
that.
like being a top, or would you prefer to be a power bottom?
Moving on.
Sounds like you can't win.
There you go.
That answer.
Wow. Okay, I thought I was like kicked out or something. Now that I'm a power bottom, at the very end, I'll give them the ending.
It takes a lot of power to bottom two guys.
Can I get through
remember
this sentence?
Sorry.
Okay, at the ending, it was I guess you could say it's a happy ending because she's out of the hospital and she's not insane and all that. But
It leaves you like with a hook though. With that,
not really, because you see that Horseface is dead and
Horseface. That's what you.
Speaking of Horseface, that's what I call the villain in My Hero Academia. But okay.
You mean
so it had a
one for all, or all
I
for
don't know.
one?
The guy that wears that mask thing, whatever, in season one at least. So
all for one.
What was I saying? Yeah, it has a positive resolution.
Oh,
I did not expect that from this psychological, murderous, whatever movie. So that's a plus. So that doesn't feel like one of those horror films that's like, oh, we do some crazy things and then
I wouldn't even call this a horror. This is more like
I know. I'm just saying like a horror.
Or
it
drama.
gives you this sense of dissatisfaction because it's like, well, everyone's dead. The person you were following is dead. That's great. But I find a weak premise the fact that she was A-okay at the end. She wasn't like submitted to a mental hospital or anything like that. It was just a regular hospital for her stab wounds. And also, like at the end when she was being chased by, was it Rumi?
Mm-hmm.
And how you saw Rumi like as the idol music, whatever.
Idol singer.
God, I don't remember her name, the main character.
Mima.
You see her as that version, and she's like floating around and stuff. I'm like, how's this translating to real life if she's actually being chased? Even though I know it's an illusion, but like, I don't know. It just seemed weird because she just like jumped down from that giant thing that she fell off and just like, she hit something else that made the fall less, but frickin' Rumi apparently just jumped straight off the roof and it was fine. I don't know. That was just a particular part that I was like just not buying too much, but I thought, yeah, the thing that made me think Rumi might have been Horseface's mother, apart from the eyes, was also the fact that she was representing the idol music one, which is the same motive as Horseface. So maybe, unless she was a fan of Horseface.
In the movie, I could have sworn that the manager, Rumi, was in charge of Mima's room, that website.
Oh, that was Horseface. I'm pretty sure we saw him updating
the whole time. I thought he was
why
a
it was
moderator.
interesting. That's why it was interesting when you suggested that perhaps Horseface was other Horseface's son. Because you were suggesting that all the information was being fed to him through Rumi, by Rumi's interaction with Mima.
I was
Am I the only one
expecting
that
some
noticed,
sort of
like-
Why would if Rumi was the one running Mima's room, why would she be the one to help her get set up with Netscape and surf the internet to find the
and
room?
get all of her information, like her credit card and who knows what else?
Well,
That
I
might be
think it would make
personable.
sense that she set her up with the computer because then she'd show. I'm pretty sure she showed her. Did she show her room?
She requested because
Mima's room?
she gets the letter that says I'm always on Mima's room or whatever. I'm always watching Mima's room.
She could have planted the seed, and then Guy
also
could have
saw that,
encouraged it.
Heard that as a comment as well on passing.
I mean, it could. Yeah, you do hear that. You do hear a guy say that when she's going into the apartment. But it could also be that literally the entire thing with both horse faces is completely and utterly her own delusion, and that they aren't even attacking her or running a website or anything.
I kind of wonder if did y'all also notice the manager how the art for her kind of got uglier as time went, as if she
kind of looked horse face from the beginning. It's just it might
like
have not
later
been
on they
as
kind of just
obvious.
didn't care where the placement of her eyes was. At one point it kind of looked like she was turning into a fish.
All right, to reiterate what I was saying at the beginning, by horse face, I mean that the prey, they have their eyes on the side of their faces like a horse or a cow. So that's why I'm calling it horse face.
Okay.
But
I
yeah.
don't believe we call this.
I don't know. Is horse face
don't
an
yawn. I had to go
term?
through troubleshooting here.
But I think I
Did
had
y'all
some
cover
other thought.
the so many red herrings that this movie threw at you?
I think we kind of mentioned that.
Because there was a mention of a murderer on the news who was going around killing people to throw off who's potentially doing what exactly.
Except that they immediately show you Mima after the stabbing of the eye.
Yeah, but that was like 10 minutes later, though.
I guess those
Wasn't, like,
clothes.
directly right after.
So I guess the
Were
question
never
is did she send herself the letter that exploded in that guy's hand?
Good question. But
Well, I assumed Horseface did it all.
So I guess the idea is that she has split personality disorder.
schizophrenia.
Maybe, but
Schizophrenia is not the same thing as multiple personality disorder.
she could have, but we don't know.
There was a lot of paradigm shifts as they wanted to capture per situation, which I think y'all might have already iterated. Like, it was difficult to tell when they were filming, when they were not filming.
That's what I was saying about when Marnie was there, and I also had that
was there was a
sensation.
lot. Marnie was there a lot straightforward than this one. This was a
Sure,
tossed salad.
but I'm just saying you were thinking, okay, was that event a dream or was it not a dream? Was she actually there? What did she actually do that day? Then
Did she kill the person with the bloody clothes, or was it Rooney? But how in the world does she have the bloody clothes in there and have the memory of the death? Unless that was part of the TV series that all of a sudden now they're using her name.
At a point, I thought it was when they cried because she'd be at the identical spot in her bed after waking up, and it's like, was that a dream or did she time reset? Is this when they cry again?
I'll say this much: this whole mixer of scenes, or however y'all want to call this, I felt like it was better mastered in Millennium Actress than in this one. However, it did add more suspense.
This was like his
first directorial in '93, wasn't it?
Hey, Brad, you know that scene in JoJo that you loved so much, or Star Wars Crusaders OVA? That was Satoshi Kon, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did like the fifth episode
with the taxi.
Yeah, apparently, because I think it was. I don't know if it was Random Sakuga or whoever that posted that, but they said. Or it was a huge coincidence that someone might have liked it, but it's like, this amazing scene was done by a young Satoshi Kon. And I'm like, well.
Satoshi Kon also helped supervise the second Pat Labor movie as well.
Well, everybody who works in anime has a name for themselves started by helping out somewhere first.
Oh yeah.
Which, by the way,
I'm trying
the
to
interviews
think,
on
she's
Discord.
like the Kevin Bacon of anime productions at this point.
I don't know the reference.
Oh, you can link in almost every 80s movie, you can link Kevin Bacon with some actor by relation. They just look up it's a game. Look it up.
Okay. So do you guys recommend it?
I mean, kind of like you with Marnie, when Marnie was there, I'm glad I watched it. So now I can actually like comment on it when people discuss it or bring it up. But I don't know. I didn't think it was that, like, it had some things here and there that I was kind of interested in, but it kind of fell flat. I give it better than Marnie was there because, like, it had that one, like, that idea that it had that resolution that I came up with, but like I said, they don't actually confirm anything really that happens.
It's entirely left up to the viewer. It's
Right.
in that
It's an abstract.
I
for a
wouldn't say
time.
it's left up to the viewer. I feel like they just I don't know. It just doesn't exist. The confirmation.
For
It's
a
just a
time,
theory I made up.
It was like that was embraced, but I think people are getting tired of it because it's starting to get lazy. Or there was a big aspect in the mid 2000s of anime where that was like every anime ended with an up to the viewer ending, and it was like, have some balls
And make it ending.
I know what
Yeah,
trend you're talking
I'm not
about.
a huge
This
fan of
movie
those.
felt like it didn't want to start a trend. The movie was based off of a book by a similar name.
we've described the
Origin
we
story.
discussed all that, yeah. So I think it's worth seeing once at least. But the problem with it is that the animation towards the beginning is really
rough.
like it floats. The characters are like in anime how normally characters are static and they'll have lip flaps moving or something.
Yeah,
Imagine loosely redrawing the whole character every frame, almost like the Dr. Katz or Home Movies early seasons. Squiggle Vision, yeah, where the characters were moving way more than seemed accurate in the panning shots because they were like doing camera moves and having the characters walking while talking, and they were just like they weren't grounded very well. And that might have been intentional, but it seemed like it predated the time frame when it was made in terms of like back then people were already better at tracking their shots with the cells to not do that. And it just seemed like it was real bouncy. Whatever was going on with the audio seemed to be desynced.
Yeah.
Desynced was your rip for sure. That hammer scene.
Yeah. I sent them a clip that was just like hilariously out of sync, where she slams the hammer into the side of the guy's head, and then he falls on the table and goes, "Oh!" It's just like it's the funniest thing.
Well, I thought the initial impact of the hammer and clinking like 3 seconds afterwards was the funny part.
Yeah, but just like him, the noise he made before he landed on the table and the timing of it was just like Family Guy level funny. How weirdly timed that was.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing that I sort of talked about behind the scenes with these guys was Stephen J. Bloom's voice completely takes me out of this movie because it's so obviously him. I didn't even know Wendy Lee was in this.
I think she was Rumi.
Yeah, well, she recessed into the background. I didn't even think about her voice. And she's got a pretty iconic voice, too. But something about Stephen J. I was speculating that perhaps he, recorded at another studio in another state or did something, over the phone or something. Because, I don't know if it was the gain or whatever. Something was very different with his audio. I don't think it was a volume issue. I just think it came across like he was louder or different, the audio quality. I don't have the expertise to explain it, but the audio quality seemed so different, drastically different with him that it stood out way too much.
Yeah,
it was almost like an ASMR. Like one person is talking really close to the mic. I can't get close enough to simulate it, but it sounds like a person talking really close to the mic compared to everybody else who's talking at the same distance from it.
You can definitely tell his voice out of the crowd. Then again, for some of the scenes, it was kind of like he was the character that was supposed to be highlighted. So the
so it
some
worked in his favor
desyncing
to a
felt like it
degree.
was on purpose. Others felt like it was a clumsy mess.
That's not desyncing. That's imbalance.
Imbalance.
But I know what you mean. Anyway, so I think personally, I like Paprika is my favorite Satoshi Kon movie. It's probably his worst film, honestly, but it's the most fun one. The soundtrack is freaking great, but I like that one. I also like Paranoia Agent, but the thing about all of his stuff is I don't need to see it more than once. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of it makes you so uncomfortable when you watch it. Especially like the soundtrack to Perfect Blue is so eerie and weird. That like I don't need to see it again. Like because
I ironically thought it might have been really good if it would be beneficial to rewatch it, because you might be like, oh, now that I know Rumi's going to be the killer, I'll totally pit or the killer.
I'll say this: if I was going to rewatch it again tomorrow, I would enjoy it significantly more than having rewatched it after previously seeing it over a decade ago.
Is it my turn?
What?
Is it my
Your turn? Yes.
If you want to talk, I mean, if you can
I would love to talk.
in a normal.
Did you even go over the tweets that I've done? If not, that's
no,
fine.
because you weren't here. If you want to go over them now, I've got them pulled up.
I would love to. Stop talking to me like I'm a chore. Come on. So one of the first things that I can relate to the movie is I was trying to find my copy of the movie, and for some reason I have yet to find it, even though I know it's here somewhere.
Where is this photo from?
This was back when I had to store all my stuff in a storage shed.
Okay.
Ooh. Probably. Hold up. Let me get it on my end.
Here, I'll link it in the thing here. Speed that up.
Cool. Oh my God. Come on. Go there.
Does anybody else think that the
right.
photo guy like came out of nowhere?
Oh yeah. He came out of nowhere. Sound very similar to whoever voiced the camera guy and Speed Grapher, and looks suspiciously like darn it, something Benedict Cumberbatch for some reason.
And I guess Mima just decided to go along with literally everything that he said, and it's like, what? I don't believe it. Why? No one would actually do it if they were that. Anyway,
all right. So watch Mima. Mima, a young pop idol, enter a new career as conflictions and paradigm shifts of her psyche evolve as stress of paparazzi, public image, youthful loss, sexual or ideal worship, and the fear of losing one's identity affects her. This psychological abstract story this is a psychological abstract story where the flow is like a thrilling schizophrenic roller coaster ride that will help keep the viewer keep guessing as to what Mima is doing or what the situation would be. As one scene would be Mima being heckled by an agent on the city street, but soon it would cut. Soon you can hear the yell of cut happen, and it's revealed that Mima is not really at the street, but in the studio. You have plenty of misdirecting scenes one after the other that will either leave you in a blend of if this is real or fantasy. A lot of red herrings are thrown everywhere within this production, this was one of Cohn's starts. So for a first time, okay, but I felt like Millennium Actress did this a lot better. While we're watching, certain characters seem to be drawn worse over time as the Stalker seems to drool more over time as we examine this complete metamorphosis of human daydream turned to cruel human obsession. I've seen this in theaters and streaming while entering my own Perfect Blue situation, trying to find my own physical copy. I think we talked about the desync. I wouldn't call this a horror, but a dramatical thriller. I have not seen live action based on books, on her name. This is early enough in Satoshi Kon's career that his depression and work ethic isn't affecting his work, isn't interfering with his work. I wished I would have saw this first before going into his other works, because I probably would have more of appreciation as be tormented by the repeated marathons of Paprika and Tokyo Godfathers.
Wait, so this is his first?
I believe this is his first movie.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
His directorial debut.
There you go.
Cool, because I like chronology.
You haven't seen any others?
Nope.
Have you seen Paranoia Agent?
No, I don't own that, but I could own the French Blu-ray.
Out of all of his works, Paranoia Agent's one of my favorites. He can master the anthology. The only thing I haven't seen from him is Memories.
I like that.
I don't need to rewatch Paprika or Tokyo Godfathers. I have seen them so many times before.
Why don't you just say no?
Movie. What?
Are you the type of person that would get raped because you didn't say no?
What?
I'm referring to if you've seen like Summer Wars and Tokyo Godfathers and Paprika so many times, just say no.
But if you two want to talk about it, I don't want to stop y'all from talking about it. I'm not trying to be a cruel person.
Well, I mean, wait,
but at
what?
the same time, what?
Tokyo Godfathers?
I don't know where you're coming from for this. I get what I said from Summer Wars, but
no, I'm saying you've alleged that you've seen these movies so many times or too many times.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have just denied seeing them more than you wanted to.
Okay, so he's saying that you have already seen them so many times. Why did you watch them so many times previously if you didn't want to see them?
You know that video room I used to run? That's why.
Oh, kind of like a theater projectionist?
Yeah.
Step out into the hall and have a smoke break. A 2-hour smoke break. All right, so if you guys are good, actually, I'll check out.
I do recommend this. If you want to enter his works, keep in mind it's more R-rated than expected, but at the same time, I think that shock's more of a...
It's unrated.
Yeah. There's an R-rated. We covered this while you're gone. There's an R-rated version of it that was released in the U.S. on VHS only, and I suspect that what they pulled out of it was just the pubic hair stuff.
Okay.
So his directorial debut was this. I should have looked this up on IMDb because it's chronological there.
Oh, yeah. Anything interesting from the comments? I haven't had a chance to reopen those again.
No. We're pretty much the only people still watching. I think there's... Well, I don't know if it counts us. So I guess there might be 5 people because now that we're doing it in StreamYard, it might not be counting us unless you guys... Because I don't know if having the live chat out counts me as viewing it. I'm not sure. But sound off in the comments if you're still watching. So Satoshi Kon is listed for his directorial credits. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, yeah. So he did the 3 episodes. But that's episode directing. So Perfect Blue is his first thing, then Millennium Actress, then Tokyo Godfathers, then Paranoia Agent, which he did all 13 episodes for, I believe. Paprika, and then Annie Curry 15, which was a anthology, and Dream Machine. So he didn't direct, just to clarify this, because I thought this was weird when you brought him up for Memories. He didn't direct Memories. He did settings in Memories. He wrote the Magnetic Rose.
Okay. He also helped.
He did one of the Animatrix one, I think.
I haven't seen that.
He did the one where the kids are jump. They find like a glitched area in the Matrix, and they're like they think it's like a haunted house. So the kid like jumps off the balcony, and like right before hitting the ground, he slows down and stops, and like hits his nose and makes it bleed or whatever. And they're like throwing the can, and it's like glitching in the air and everything. He did that one.
Wow. Didn't he also assist or supervise in a children's show as well, like at his early beginnings? I could be thinking of someone else.
I'm looking at all of these. I don't see.
I appreciate the guy's work, but sadly, I feel like he's a little overpraised for what he's done or what he's contributed, which sadly I feel like is very little. But at the same time, he died for an animator. He died at a young age of 42, I believe.
I thought I was younger for some reason.
63 died in 2010. So
2010.
27.
47.
Okay.
He was born October 12th, so his birthday is actually coming up. So it's kind of convenient that we did.
Eerie.
Yeah, age 46 when he died. All right. So anyway, that's it for this podcast. Next Watch Club, we're going to do Corpse Party.
Corpse Party.
We agreed on that.
Put on your corpse paint for Corpse Party.
Not a single person in the chat said anything, I don't think.
Pardon me. Just to briefly finish my statement, I kind of feel like Yoshitoshi Abe should be more celebrated in comparison between the two creators, but that's something for another time.
I have zero care for other people's opinions on how great somebody is, and just value them in my own head instead of needing to let other people.
Fair point.
For me. So that's my opinion on it. I just think that I don't think he's overrated. I think that he is celebrated from a cinematography standpoint. His stuff is so good that I could have spent the entire podcast just talking about that, right? But without having made like all the screenshots and stuff, it would have just.
But for cinematography, is he worth having his own award ceremony? But that might be a loaded question.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what other people are going to do about things. You got to learn to not let it bother you so much. Yeah. All right. So next podcast is going to be. That's not my phone. There it is. It's going to be next week, obviously, and that is going to be the 13th. Is that correct?
No, it's about 12. Let's see, 6,
Saturday the 12th.
12.
So we're gonna watch this. I've ordered the live action one. If you want the DVD, there's only 2 copies left, I think, of the DVD, but I think the Blu-ray still had some copies left. So jump on that if you're gonna get it from Amazon, and use the link in the description if you want to help fund the podcast with a very minor. Like you still pay the same amount, but we get like 0.5% or whatever of the total cost. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and unless you guys have anything else you want to say, I guess I'll sign off. See you guys next time.
Study hard. Your midterms are coming up.
Augie just assumes all of our audience are kids. No, I'm just kidding. All right, take it easy, guys. And broadcast.